picked up a sexy beauty as my wife. Stinky boy, I've traveled around the world and taught you all my skills. I've also left you a huge sum of money. I'll put it in my drawer. Don't be too touched. This is a small token of my appreciation. Take it and go down the mountain. If you can't make it in the future, you can go find your senior sister. It is said that she is in Jiangcheng City. After reading the old man's letter, Lin Fan was almost moved to tears. Before the old man went out to have fun, he didn't forget to leave him a huge sum of money. What a good man. But when Lin Fan opened the drawer and searched for a long time, he only found 300 yuan bills. He couldn't help but cursed, "Damn old man, is this what you call a huge sum of money?" Lin Fan immediately picked up the phone and dialed the old man's number. He wanted to ask the senior sister's name so that he could find her. After all, when they were in the mountains, the senior sisters all used nicknames. However, a prompt tone came from the other end of the phone. "The number is out of service area." There was no choice, Lin Fan could only pack his bags and go down the mountain to make a living. Half a day later. Exit of Jiangcheng railway station. "Beauty, I see that your eyebrows are dark red, your face is yellow and your lips are purple. You must have a gynecological disease. I am an expert in this field. It only costs 100 yuan. 100 yuan can't buy a house or a car, but it can make you have a healthy body. Do you want it? Liar, you have a gynecological disease. Your whole family has gynecological diseases." Before Lin Fan finished speaking, the beauty left angrily. You can tell what disease it is at a glance. No one would believe it. At this time, a man and a woman came over. Lin Fan seized the opportunity and stepped forward and said with a smile, "Hey, let's have a fortune telling. It's very cheap. It only costs 30 yuan. Brother, is it accurate?" The woman saw that Lin Fan was a handsome boy and asked with interest. "It must be accurate. If it is not, it will cost money." Lin Fan grinned. He, then tell me." The woman laughed. "You have 3 children, and this gentleman has 2 children, right?" Lin Fan blurted out. Har, kid, what nonsense are you talking about? We are husband and wife, right? We only have 2 children, so where do 3 come from?" The man laughed. "I know you are husband and wife, but I am telling the truth," Lin Fan said firmly. Hearing this, the woman immediately turned pale and said hurriedly, "Husband, this guy is obviously a charlatan, don't believe him, let's go." After that, the woman took her husband away quickly. Oh, it's so hard to make money in a big city, and no one believes the truth. Lin Fan sighed. He worked for more than half an hour and didn't make a penny. Although he has many skills, such as curing diseases, fortune-telling, and even performing chest-breaking stones, it is not easy to gain people's trust when entering a big city for the first time. Make way. Just as he was thinking, a person suddenly walked by, and then a recruitment notice was posted on the electric pole behind Lin Fan, with a few bold black words that were very conspicuous. Urgent recruitment. Monthly salary of 30,000. Sincerely recruit a handsome foreign man with certain acting skills. Age requirements are between 24 and 26 years old, height above 175, healthy, and no bad habits. The most important thing is, be able to withstand beatings. Be able to withstand beatings. Be able to withstand beatings. The time limit is limited to noon today. The 2 words, "be able to withstand beatings," were written 3 times in a row, and the few young people who just came over to watch the excitement were scared away immediately after taking a look. Although the salary is high, the requirements are not low. However, after Lin Fan saw the recruitment notice, his eyes lit up, and he felt that this recruitment was made for him. He thought about getting a job to ensure basic living first, and then, when he slowly found a way to make money, it would not be too late to quit. According to the address above, Lin Fan took a taxi and came directly to the destination. After getting off the car, Lin Fan walked into the building with "Tang's Pharmaceutical" written on it. At the same time, in the president's office on the 7th floor of the building, Tang Yanro was pacing anxiously. There were still 2 hours before noon. If she couldn't find a suitable candidate, she would be in trouble. The 2 applicants who came just now had good other conditions but were not strong enough to resist being beaten. They were too weak and were knocked down by their best friend Wang Ying with 1 punch. How could they withstand the revenge of that guy in the future? Xiaoyan, is there no one outside? Tang Yinro confirmed. No, I guess the requirements are too harsh, and no one dares to come. Wang Ying smiled awkwardly. Just as their voice fell, they heard the door of the office being knocked. The two were stunned at the same time, and then Wang Ying walked over quickly and opened the door. A man stood at the door, wearing a yellow cheap t-shirt, cropped pants, and a pair of yellowed sneakers. He grinned and said, "Excuse me, is this the interview?" When Tang Yinro saw Lin Fan like this, she waved her hand and said, "Let him go. No need for an interview." Lin Fan was unhappy when he heard that. He stepped in like a loach, sticking to Wang Ying's body, and then smiled and said, "Beauty, I basically meet your recruitment requirements. Give me a chance." Wang Ying was obviously a little surprised. Her family runs a martial arts school. Influenced by her family environment, she has also practiced kung fu. Ordinary strong men can't beat her, and this guy actually slipped in under her nose. After reacting, Wang Ying was a little angry and scolded, "Smelly boy, didn't you hear me telling you to leave? Get out." After that, she followed in a flash, stretched out her hand and grabbed Lin Fan's shoulder, trying to drag him away by force. But the next moment Wang Ying found that this guy was like a bull and could not be pulled at all. She immediately found something strange and changed to kicking Lin Fan on the back. Bang! Wang Ying was bounced back. Lin Fan stood there, still motionless. Tang Yinro also widened her eyes, not daring to believe it. "Yinro, this guy is tough," Wang Ying said hurriedly. Tang Yinro swallowed her saliva and re-examined Lin Fan. "This guy is actually not bad. He meets the basic requirements, and his facial features are regular, even a little handsome. He will be good after a little dressing up." "How is your acting?" Tang Yinro asked. Time is imminent, and she can't wait to choose. This one is not bad for now. Not only am I a good actor, but I'm also great in bed. Lin Fan grinned. The two of them. Tang Yinro signaled Wang Ying to close the door, and then threw a bank card on the tea table with a pop, saying, "Let's not talk nonsense, there is 500,000 in the card, this is just a deposit, you pretend to be my husband to deal with my family temporarily, no emotional talk, if you agree, we will get the certificate later, and I will give you another 1 million later, how about it?" Lin Fan's eyes widened. After all this time, it's not recruiting employees, but finding someone to pretend to be a husband. Anyway, this is pretending and not real, and you can get such a large sum of money, don't miss it. Besides, this girl is a big beauty, with a beautiful face and a good figure. The long legs and thin waist made Lin Fan swallow his saliva. "Can we sleep together tonight?" Lin Fan asked. "It's a bit of a waste to be with such a big beauty, you can only act. You're overthinking. It's definitely not possible. He can only pretend to be your husband. Nothing else is allowed." Tang Yinro found this guy a bit lecherous, but time was running out and she was too lazy to pick any more. If she couldn't find a better one later, it would be troublesome. So she continued, "If you are willing, come with me to get the marriage certificate. If you are not willing, you can leave now." Tang Yinro's voice was a little cold. "Deal." Lin Fan was not a fool. He would not refuse such a good thing. He directly accepted the deposit of 500,000 yuan to solve the financial problem first, and then plan for other things later. "Let's go." Tang Yinro grabbed the bag beside her, stood up, and walked out. Chapter 2, have you seen enough? In the elevator. Lin Fan realized this woman had an incredibly tall and slender figure. Her waist was so slender it could be held with one hand, and her chest was prominent, stretching her clothes high in a way that almost screamed for attention. "She's a gem," Lin Fan muttered to himself. The only beautiful women he'd seen on the mountain were his 3 senior sisters, and after they went down, he hadn't seen anyone of that caliber again. But this woman was clearly more beautiful than his senior sisters, which made Lin Fan feel a little excited. "Have you seen enough?" Since they entered the elevator, the woman had been glaring at him, her chest being his clear focus. He hadn't even blinked, almost drooling. "Not enough." Lin Fan snapped out of his daze and realized he had been caught staring. He quickly grinned and said, "Almost enough." "HMPH, pervert," she shot back, glaring at him. "Just to remind you, we're pretending to be a married couple. Don't get any ideas. This is just acting. I'll remind you when needed, but otherwise, treat me like a stranger." Don't take advantage of me, got it? If it weren't for the urgency, she wouldn't have chosen such a pervert. Fine. Alright, let's go to the mall. You can't go get the marriage certificate dressed like this. You need a change. 2 hours later, the two walked out of the Civil Affairs Bureau, clearly having just picked up their marriage certificates. Lin Fan, right? We're just a paper couple. In 6 months, I'll find a way to divorce you. During that time, you just need to cooperate with me in acting. No intimacy, no feelings, just do your part. I'll transfer money to you later. Also, make sure it looks real. Don't mess this up. Tang Yinro resumed her cold demeanor. Fine. At this moment, Lin Fan was a bit dazed. He never imagined that such an important moment in his life would be completed so carelessly. Although this was just a collaboration, honestly, having such a beautiful woman as his wife wasn't too bad. Get in the car. We need to go somewhere. Everything was ready, and Tang Yinro had other business to attend to. Where to? Lin Fan asked. You don't need to ask. Just cooperate. Before Lin Fan could say anything, Tang Yinro started the Bentley and drove straight to their destination. 15 minutes later, the Bentley stopped in front of a luxury hotel. Tang Yinro got out first. Several people immediately walked up to her, clearly from the Jiang family. Today was the engagement day between the Tang and Jiang families, and all the key members from both sides had already arrived. The only person missing was Tang Yinro, so Jiang Feng had sent people to greet her as a sign of respect. Miss Tang, we've been waiting for you. Xu Hu, Jiang Feng's right-hand man, hurried over with a smile, his tone respectful. Young master has been waiting upstairs for a while. Please, come with me. But just then, a man suddenly appeared behind Tang Yinro, wrapping his arm around her waist. With a faint smile, he said, Honey, who's this? Did someone invite us to dinner today? Xu Hu instantly furrowed his brow, clearly surprised. With Lin Fan tightly holding onto her, and his hand inappropriately roaming her waist, Tang Yinro wanted to slap him, but she held back, fearing the act would be ruined. That's too much, she whispered, unable to stop herself from warning him. I'm just making it look realistic. Be careful, or we'll blow the cover. Lin Fan responded, his mind secretly laughing as he knew he had Tang Yinro's life in his hands. She couldn't resist. Honestly, her waist felt amazing. What's going on? Xu Hu finally asked. Didn't you see? Why are you still asking? Tang Yinro ignored Xu Hu and took Lin Fan's arm, heading straight to their hotel lobby. Xu Hu pulled out his phone and made a call. On the 3rd floor of the hotel, Jiang Feng, who had been chatting with Tang's family, lost his smile after receiving a call. He turned to Tang Long, the head of the Tang family, with a cold tone, Uncle Tang, is this a little too much? At his words, the room fell silent. Everyone from both families was stunned, not knowing what had happened. Tang Long, also confused, hurriedly asked, Young Master Jiang, what's going on? HMPH, still pretending? Your daughter just brought her husband here. This statement stunned everyone. At that moment, Tang Yinro appeared, walking in with Lin Fan. He seemed handsome but unfamiliar, and no one had ever seen him before. Har har, young Master Jiang, you must have misunderstood. Yinro wouldn't be married. That man is probably just her new bodyguard. Tang Long laughed and explained. Even though his daughter was independent, she would never keep something as important as marriage from them. The most important thing was that only a marriage alliance with the Jiang family could save Tang Pharmaceutical from its financial crisis. And, knowing his daughter's high standards, if Jiang Feng couldn't win her over, then no one could. That's right. I know my Yinro best. She's a practical person, and the marriage between the Tang and Jiang families is important. She's not a child, she wouldn't mess around. Tang's mother added. HMPH, I hope that's the case. Jiang Feng breathed a sigh of relief. If it's a misunderstanding, then forget about it. Let us start the engagement ceremony. Jiang Hua, Jiang Feng's father, relaxed a little. At this point, Tang Yinro and Lin Fan had already reached the group. Tang Yinro cut to the chase, Dad, Mom, I came here to announce something. Everyone immediately quieted down, eager to hear. I'm married. This is my husband. Tang Yinro grabbed Lin Fan and said, I chose him, I really like him. The whole room was stunned. There was a moment of silence, then Tang Long shouted, "Nonsense." He hurried to Tang Yinrou's side. He knew his daughter too well, she would never marry someone so insignificant. He lowered his voice and said, "Yinrou, don't think you can pull a fast one with just a temporary actor. You know how important this marriage alliance is. Stop fooling around, okay? Yeah, Yinrou, stop joking. Quickly get engaged to young Master Jiang," said Tang's mother, agreeing. "I'm really married. Don't believe me? Here's the proof." Tang Yinrou took out the marriage certificate. Tang's mother grabbed the certificate, checked the seal, and widened her eyes in disbelief. "Old master, this is real." "What?" Tang Long stared, clearly in shock. On the other side, Jiang Feng gritted his teeth in anger. He had been chasing his goddess for so long, and now, when it was almost in his grasp, she slipped away. "Yinrou, I know you're doing this to spite me. This guy is just a shield, right? There's no real love, so why bother?" Jiang Feng wasn't convinced. "Let me correct you. Yinrou and I fell in love at first sight. We're in love." Lin Fan walked up to Tang Yinrou and smiled, "Right, darling." Tang Yinrou, surprised by Lin Fan's sudden intervention, replied, "Yes, we're in love." "Keep acting, continue playing your part. Do you think I'll believe this?" Jiang Feng sneered. The most beautiful woman in Jiangcheng City wouldn't fall for a guy like Lin Fan, who looked ordinary and had no charm. He was obviously a poor, insignificant man. But before Jiang Feng could say more, Lin Fan suddenly pulled Tang Yinrou into his arms and kissed her on the lips in front of everyone. He actually kissed Tang Yinrou in front of everyone. Chapter 3, Is this guy a drama queen? Wow tilde. The whole room erupted in shock. Everyone widened their eyes, unable to believe what they were seeing. Tang Yinrou was also stunned. Although they were supposed to act convincingly, she hadn't anticipated such an outcome. Holding hands and hugging was her limit. She never expected this guy to add extra drama. Shameless. Pervert. Tang Yinrou cursed inwardly, but on the surface, she dared not move. She knew that any sign of resistance would prove Jiang Feng's accusation true. However, being kissed like this for the first time sent a tingling sensation through her body, as if being electrocuted, leaving her slightly dazed. Seeing this scene, Jiang Feng was furious. Jiang Guai, too, turned away in anger. A full minute passed, and Tang Yinrou realized this guy was still kissing her. In a panic, she pinched his waist, and only then did Lin Fan stop. "Hello, father-in-law, mother-in-law. Let me introduce myself. I'm Lin Fan, your good son-in-law." Lin Fan didn't forget to introduce himself to the Tang family elders. Tang Yinrou was speechless. Was this guy a drama queen? He kept adding lines to the script, couldn't he just calm down for once? "Don't call me father-in-law. I don't acknowledge you as my son-in-law." Tang Long waved his hand in rejection. Old Master Tang, please explain this," Jiang Guai said angrily. Seeing the tension, Lin Fan nudged Tang Yinrou, signaling her to handle it. Tang Yinrou's heart skipped a beat. She knew the difficult position her parents were in. Marrying her to the Jiang family was the only way to save Tang Pharmaceutical. But she didn't want to marry Jiang Feng, that lustful man who already had dozens of women. Marrying him would make her just another toy for him. There's nothing to explain. I'm already married, and I hope Jiang Xiao will stop bothering me from now on. Tang Yinrou spoke firmly. Tang Yinrou, have you thought this through? Once you leave here, our Jiang family will never help you again. Tang Pharmaceutical is doomed, Jiang Feng threatened. Yinrou, quickly apologize to Jiang Xiao, divorce him, and marry Jiang Xiao instead. Tang's mother rushed forward, pulling Tang Yinrou's hand. For the future of Tang family, make a sacrifice. Without the Jiang family's support, Tang Pharmaceutical will go bankrupt. Exactly, Yinrou. You can't be so selfish. Think of the family's interests. Sacrificing a little is nothing. Besides, Jiang Xiao is handsome, many women would want to marry him. If I were a woman, I'd marry him immediately. Tang Shen, her cousin, finally spoke up. It would have been fine if Tang Shen had kept quiet, but his words made Tang Yinrou explode. Selfish? Do you even know how much I've sacrificed for the company? For the family's benefit, I should sacrifice my happiness, right? And you only know how to enjoy life. You indulge yourselves, enjoying the profits of the company. But when the company hits a crisis, you push all the responsibility on me. What happened to your faces? Tang Yinro shouted, her chest heaving in anger. Tang Shen was speechless. Upon hearing this, Lin Fan finally understood the situation. It seemed this girl was quite pitiful, being treated as a sacrifice by her family. All right, I'll figure out something about the company's issues, Tang Yinro said, but she didn't have much confidence. Tang Pharmaceutical had been declining for years. The financial gap had grown to 2 billion. In less than half a year, the company would face bankruptcy. The Jiang family was the only one who could save Tang Pharmaceutical. I don't believe you. If you could come up with a solution, would we have gotten to this point? Tang's mother trembled in anger. Tang Yinro was at a loss for words. Just as Tang Yinro was struggling, Lin Fan spoke up again. I thought it was something major, but it's just a small amount of money missing. This is simple. Father-in-law, mother-in-law, don't bother asking outsiders for help. Your son-in-law here is enough. Hearing this, everyone was stunned again. Who exactly was this guy? Tang Pharmaceutical had a 2 billion gap, and yet he was calling it a small issue. Har har har, so you've messed up your performance now, huh? Jiang Feng laughed. Do you know how big the gap is at Tang Pharmaceutical? 2 billion. Are you the richest person in Jiangcheng City, or in Jiangnan? 2 billion is really just small change. Lin Fan said nonchalantly. The crowd gasped, unsure whether to believe him or not. Tang Yinro was drenched in cold sweat. Originally, she had asked Lin Fan to cooperate with her in this act, but now he was adding his own drama, dragging her down with him. 2 billion is small change. Can you be any more ridiculous? Ahem. Tang Yinro cleared her throat, deliberately trying to remind Lin Fan to stop digging himself into a deeper hole, but he ignored her and continued, all right, father-in-law, mother-in-law, give me half a month, I'll make sure to cover the company's gap. Honey, let us go back and consummate our marriage. Everyone was silent. Har har har. Hearing this, Jiang Feng didn't get angry. Instead, he laughed and said, this is the first time I've seen someone who can brag like this. Fine, I'll wait and see how you close the 2 billion gap in half a month. With that, Jiang Feng motioned for Jiang Guai and the Jiang family members to leave. Jiang Xiao, old Master Jiang, please wait. He Tang Long tried to stop them, but with a sigh, he turned to Lin Fan and said coldly, kid, I don't know who you are, but I'm warning you, you've made a big mistake today. Tang Long's chest hurt from anger as he pointed at Lin Fan and said, I want to ask you to get the 2 billion, but in half a month, if you can secure a project worth 1 billion from Jiangcheng City's largest pharmaceutical company, Pinnacle International, I'll accept you as my son-in-law. Otherwise, I'll still make Yinro marry Jiang Xiao. Pinnacle International? Lin Fan froze. Honestly, he had an idea for how to help Tang Pharmaceutical make 2 billion, but securing a project wasn't his forte. Just as Lin Fan hesitated, Tang Yinro spoke up, all right, it's settled then. Tang Yinro believed that it would be more practical for Lin Fan to get a 1 billion deal from Pinnacle International than to come up with 2 billion. After all, someone who was willing to help her act for 1.5 million would never have 2 billion to spare. If that is the case, Yinro, you said it yourself. I'll give you this opportunity. Don't blame me for being heartless later, Tang Long sighed deeply. Hearing this, a flash of sadness crossed Tang Yinro's face. Her father had always been indifferent toward her. People often say that a daughter is a father's little lover, but she never felt any love from him. After a moment of hesitation, Tang Yinro asked, Dad, am I really your biological daughter? Chapter for Half Moon Appointment. Tang Long did not answer, but glared at her and said, don't think about those things, but focus on solving the company's crisis. If you don't finish it in half a month, I will take you to the Jiang family in person. After saying that, Tang Long took the Tang family away. After everyone left, Lin Fan said, I really admire you for being able to stay in this kind of family. Otherwise, come with me and I will support you in the future. Tang Yinro suddenly raised her head and looked at Lin Fan. Her eyes were extremely cold, as if she wanted to kill someone. But suddenly she started to cry, cursing as she cried, Lin Fan, you bastard, do you know that your promise is not helping me, but will kill me? It is impossible to get a 100 million yuan order from Peak Group in half a month. Our company is nothing in the eyes of Peak Group, so how could they sign such a big project with us? Lin Fan couldn't bear to see a woman cry, so he hurried forward to comfort her. Don't touch me. Tang Yinro watched Lin Fan approach and stopped him directly. Then she wiped away her tears, adjusted her mood, and said, "Don't worry, I'll give you the 1 million later." After saying that, Tang Yinro turned and left. Lin Fan wanted to say something, but the girl didn't look back and just kept walking forward, so he had no choice but to go downstairs and prepare to go to the drugstore. The mental method he practiced was called pure Yarngong. When he was in the mountains, he had to use cold Chinese medicine to reduce internal heat every 7 days, otherwise the accumulation of fire poison would bring serious consequences. Now that I have $500,000 in my hand, I naturally have to go to the pharmacy to get some cold Chinese medicine. After standing on the roadside in front of the hotel for a while, a taxi drove over. Lin Fan said, "Driver, please go to Jiangcheng Chinese Medicine Pharmacy." Okay. The driver opened the door and Lin Fan went straight in. The car started and drove smoothly on the road. A few minutes later, with nothing to do, Lin Fan took out his cell phone to play with it for a while, and then thought about checking how far he was from the Chinese medicine store. But when he opened the navigation map, he found that the direction the car was going was completely different from where he wanted to go. The direction is wrong. Lin Fan thought the driver had misheard, so he reminded him again, "Driver, I'm going to Jiangcheng Chinese Medicine Pharmacy, am I right?" "That's right. I've been a driver for 10 years, how could I be wrong?" "Don't worry." After saying that, a wicked look flashed across the driver's face. Even though the evil spirit was fleeting, it did not escape the observant Lin Fan. Going in the opposite direction did not make sense in the first place, and now the driver said that he was not at fault, which made him suspicious. Now seeing this evil expression again, Lin Fan became even more certain. There is something wrong with this driver. "Driver, I have to pee urgently. Please stop the car now. I'll find a place to relieve myself," Lin Fan said. But the driver acted as if he didn't hear it and continued to speed forward. Before Lin Fan could say anything else, the car came to a sudden stop. This place was already a sparsely populated place. The driver turned around and sneered, "Little brother, we've stopped the car, but you probably won't be able to pee later." After saying that, the driver pushed the door open and ran away. Immediately afterwards, 2 cars came from both ends of the road, blocking the taxi. Really? Lin Fan knew that he had guessed correctly, someone was going to deal with him. Originally, he came down the mountain just to make money and live a quiet life, date girls, and find a way to cure his fire poison body. Unexpectedly, there are always some blind people who come to die. At this time, a group of people jumped out of the car, a total of 16 people, each of them was tall and strong, holding baseball bats in their hands, and it was obvious that they were here to beat him up. Lin Fan thought about it and realized that he had not offended anyone since he came down the mountain. If he had to say who he had offended, it would probably be the Jiang family. "Boy, get out here." The leader had a black mole on the corner of his mouth with a few hairs on it. He had a cigarette in his mouth and a baseball bat in his hand, and his attitude was extremely arrogant. Lin Fan calmly got out of the car. He hadn't fought for a while, so it was just right that these people could help him loosen up his muscles. "Sent by the Jiang family," Lin Fan said calmly. Hearing this, Brother Black Mole frowned. He didn't expect this guy to be so good and guessed it right. However, he didn't admit it. Instead, he changed the subject and said, "You should worry about yourself. You still have the mind to ask these questions. Why should I worry? You should be the ones who are worried. Come on, I just found a beautiful wife today. I am in a good mood and I won't bother with you. Get out now. It's not too late." Lin Fan threatened in return. Hearing this, everyone looked at each other and suddenly burst into laughter. Har har har, it turns out that Tang Yinro not only found an actor, but also found a fool as an actor. The man with the mole laughed. A yellow-haired boy next to him immediately responded, "Brother Wei, when we attack later, should we be gentle? Otherwise, what if we beat the fool into becoming smart?" Har har har. Everyone burst into laughter. Hey, after all this time, it turns out they are just a bunch of not very smart people. Lin Fan shook his head and muttered, "No more fighting, it's boring." Having said that, he was about to leave. When they heard that Lin Fan dared to call them stupid, they immediately became furious. Brother Black Mole was so angry that he gnashed his teeth and waved his hand, saying, "Destroy him for me, and see if Tang Yenro is still willing to marry a loser. Brother Wei, I'm the best at this, let me do it." The yellow-haired guy just now showed a wicked smile and rushed forward with a baseball bat tightly grasped. In his opinion, Lin Fan's physique could not withstand his blow. Bang! However, just when the stick was about to hit Lin Fan, the yellow-haired man suddenly flew backwards, and several people behind him were not paying attention and were knocked away, causing a large group of them to fall. Wow tilde! Everyone was shocked. Everyone originally thought that Tang Yenro had found an actor, but they didn't expect that this guy was such a good fighter. I'll say it again. I don't want to fight with you. I'm afraid of getting my hands dirty. Get out of here if you know what's best for you. Otherwise, don't blame me for being rude. Lin Fan reminded again. He came to the city this time just to make money and really didn't want to fight. The main reason was that these people were too weak and they died before they could even stretch their muscles and bones. It was really boring. Brother Black Mole was so angry that he gnashed his teeth. He had been in Jiangcheng for so many years, and no one had ever dared to speak to him, Brother Wei, like that. Now he was being insulted by this guy on the spot. Brothers, this guy has some skills, but he is alone after all. If we attack him together, we will definitely be able to defeat him. After Brother Black Mole finished speaking, he waved his hand, and all the remaining people rushed forward holding baseball bats tightly. The formation of more than a dozen people is very scary. Oh, that's annoying. Lin Fan originally didn't want to fight, but this group of people forced him to do so. He just flashed and rushed towards the 10 people. Bang, bang, bang tilde. As soon as those people touched him, they flew backwards and were unstoppable. Lin Fan didn't want to deal with them one by one, so he rushed through the crowd in front and grabbed Brother Black Mole's neck. Brother Black Mole originally planned to hide behind and launch a sneak attack, but in the blink of an eye, he saw a person appear in front of him. Before he could react, he was grabbed by the neck. What did you say just now? It seemed like you were going to destroy me. Lin Fan smiled slightly, but this smile seemed so creepy to the other party. Chapter 5: The Girl Who Kissed Me. However, Brother Wei is Jiang Feng's second in command after all, and is very famous throughout Jiangcheng. How could he be threatened by an unknown kid? He immediately said angrily, "Boy, I advise you to let me go quickly, otherwise, if I get hurt, from now on, I will make sure you will have no place to stand in Jiangcheng." Really? I'm a very curious person, and I want to see who can make me lose my foothold in Jiangcheng. Lin Fan was obviously enraged. He hated being threatened the most, and a cold look suddenly appeared on his originally smiling face. He raised his right foot suddenly, and with a bang, he kicked the man with the black mole directly in the crotch. R tilde. Brother Wei screamed, and the sound of eggs breaking could be vaguely heard. Then, Brother Wei fainted from the pain and collapsed to the ground. Fuck. When those healthy brothers saw it, they were shocked. This guy actually defeated the entire audience by himself and also crippled their leader, Brother Wei. How could they afford to offend such a person? I'll give you 3 counts to leave, otherwise, the consequences will be like what he did. After saying that, Lin Fan began to count down, 3, 2. Oh my god. When those people heard this, they immediately felt a chill in their crotch. That was Brother Wei, such a strong man, but he was knocked down with just 1 kick. If it were them, they would probably be kicked to death. Several people carried the unconscious Brother Wei and ran into the car as if they were fleeing. Within a few seconds, all 4 cars were gone. The driver was so scared that he was shaking all over and his face was pale. Seeing the driver's legs trembling in the wind, Lin Fan called out calmly, "Hey, driver, give me a ride. Don't worry, I'll pay you." The driver immediately knelt on the ground and begged for mercy. "Brother, I was wrong to take the money. I have parents and children to take care of. Please let me go." "Are you still doing business?" Lin Fan said and got into the car. The driver took a deep breath and ran over quickly. The car belonged to the taxi company and he couldn't abandon it and run away, so he climbed into the car with trepidation. "I don't think we'll go the wrong way this time, right?" Lin Fan said deliberately. "No. No, no." The driver's voice trembled, and then started the car. This time, they arrived at Jiangcheng Chinese Medicine Pharmacy smoothly. This is the largest Chinese medicine pharmacy in Jiangcheng City, and it has a complete range of Chinese medicines. Lin Fan had checked this out when he was on the train. After getting off the car, Lin Fan was about to pay when the driver stepped on the accelerator and drove away, leaving him feeling a little amused. Escaping is the most important thing. How can I dare to ask for money? In less than half an hour, Lin Fan came out of the Chinese medicine store again. Lin Fan sighed with emotion, thinking that when others go down the mountain to buy medicine, they may meet a big shot who is seriously ill, and then ask him to treat the disease, and then be noticed by the big shot's daughter or granddaughter, and all problems can be solved afterwards. But he saw nothing. Thinking that he and Tang Yinro were now husband and wife, he had to go to her house even if they were just pretending, so Lin Fan took out his cell phone and prepared to call Tang Yinro. But at this moment, a woman's voice suddenly came from the side. Their voice was gentle and pleasant. "Handsome guy, can you help me?" Lin Fan subconsciously looked towards the source of their voice, and saw a tall, pretty young woman talking to him. The woman was about the same age as him, about 24 or 25, with an oval face, a high nose bridge, and a cherry mouth. She was wearing a pair of cropped pants and a light pink t-shirt. Her chest was not very high and firm, but her body proportions were very good, and she looked very comfortable. At this time, the woman had tears in one of her eyes, which she covered slightly with her hand, and seemed a little afraid of the light. Lin Fan pointed at himself and confirmed, "Beauty, you called me." "Yes." The woman took the initiative to move closer and said again, "I think there is sand in my eyes. Can you help me blow it out?" "Thank you in advance." Faced with such a situation, Lin Fan was a little wary. After all, it was a very ambiguous thing for a girl to take the initiative to blow a man's eyes. Lin Fan subconsciously wanted to refuse. But the next moment, his eyes suddenly swept over the jade pendant on the woman's chest. He was stunned. Because this jade pendant is very similar to the one he wears. Seeing Lin Fan staring at her chest, the woman's eyes flashed with disgust, but in order to complete the task, she endured it and continued, "Thank you, just blow twice and it will be fine." Lin Fan came back to his senses, hesitated for a moment, and said, "Okay." The woman hurried over, and the two were less than 20 centimeters apart, and Lin Fan put his mouth close to it, ready to blow. But the next moment, the girl suddenly took action. It was not an attack. Instead, she put her arms around Lin Fan's neck, then stood on tiptoe and kissed Lin Fan on the mouth with her cherry lips. Lin Fan was completely confused. I've heard of people who try to scam others and those who do pimping, but I've never seen anyone who actively asks for a kiss. What is going on? After being distracted for 2 seconds, just when Lin Fan was about to push the woman away, she took the initiative to let go and said with a smile, "I'm fine, thank you." After saying that, the beauty turned and ran away. This? Lin Fan was a little confused and couldn't help but sigh, "The city is full of tricks, I want to go back to the mountains." However, after the beauty left, Lin Fan looked at a mark on his palm and muttered, "You've been hit by my spell. Let's see where you can run to." In just 2 seconds, Lin Fan put his arms around the woman's waist, but at the same time he had placed a tracking symbol on her. The Chunyarn sect has 3 secret techniques: Chunyarn Gong, Chaman talisman techniques, and immortal medical techniques, and the tracking talisman is just one of the Chaman talisman techniques. As for why Lin Fan cast a spell on the other party, it was not because she suddenly kissed him, but because of the jade on the girl's body. However, the most important thing at the moment is to find a place to live, and the best place is naturally my wife Tang Yinro's home. It's a free place with food and drinks, so it's a waste if you don't stay there. After calling Tang Yinro again, Tang Yinro's voice was still cold, and she said, "Where have you been? I heard from the housekeeper that you didn't go to my house. Didn't we agree that we should act realistically? If you run around everywhere, won't it be exposed?" "Oh, I'm going back now." "Are you home? Go back to your bridal chamber." Lin Fan teased deliberately. "You big head, I'm dealing with things at the company, and I have to go to Peak Group at 3 p.m. No matter how difficult it is, I have to get that project." "Okay, I don't have time to talk nonsense with you, go back by yourself, I'm busy." After Tang Yinro finished speaking, she hung up the phone. At this moment, in the office of the president of Tang Pharmaceutical, Tang Yinro sat on the chair with her eyes deeply closed. She was in a very depressed mood. "I originally thought that finding a fake husband to act would temporarily relieve my worries, but I never expected that guy would bring me more trouble. She thought it was impossible to complete a project worth 100 million yuan in half a month. But if she doesn't get the project, how can she come up with 200 million to fill the company's financial gap? The more I think about it, the more headache I get. In a blink of an eye, it was 2:30 in the afternoon and Tang Yinro was ready to set off for Jiang Feng Group, but when she was about to contact her best friend Huang Ying, she said that something suddenly happened and she couldn't go. Just when she was feeling annoyed about not having an assistant, there was a sudden knock on the door. "Who is it?" "The door is unlocked," Tang Yinro asked. The next moment, the door was pushed open and a familiar face appeared in front of her. As soon as she saw Lin Fan, Tang Yinro became angry and asked coldly, "Why are you coming to me for no reason?" "I think I am also somewhat responsible for what happened this morning, so I came here to help you solve the problem." After Lin Fan finished speaking, he placed a crumpled napkin in front of Tang Yinro and said, "Just make do with it. I couldn't find any paper, so I took an extra one after going to the toilet. I also wrote a prescription. It's called Beauty Pill, which can make women more beautiful and 10 years younger." Chapter 6, The Beauty Pill Recipe Was Thrown Away. Seeing the crumpled napkin, Tang Yinro was very angry. She crumpled it into a ball and threw it on the ground. She said in a cold voice, "If you have nothing to do, you can go back to sleep and don't bother me. That beauty pill could easily fill the gap in the company, why did you throw it away?" Lin Fan wondered. "Shut up," Tang Yinro said angrily. If this guy really had such a prescription, why would he fake marry her for more than 1 million yuan? She picked up her phone and took a look. Seeing that it was almost time, she was in no mood to chat with Lin Fan, so she said, "I'm going to Peak Group. You can do whatever you want." After saying that, Tang Yinro took a briefcase and walked out of the office. She had only taken a few steps when she received a call from her best friend Huang Ying, who suggested that she ask Lin Fan to accompany her. It was said that Jiang Feng was very angry after returning and had been thinking about venting. She didn't know whether he would do anything out of line, such as kidnapping. Huang Ying is not around and feels uneasy about Tang Yinro. Tang Yinro hesitated for a moment and returned to the office, but happened to see Lin Fan holding one of her black bras and looking at it. "What are you doing, little brat?" Tang Yinro blushed, walked forward, snatched it away, and stuffed it into the drawer. The weather has been quite hot recently, and I don't know why she was sweating a lot in that area, so she took it off. She was in a hurry to recruit and forgot to hide it. The key is that she likes to put things inside to show how big she is. "Just curious, why did you stuff so many cushions in there?" Lin Fan grinned and changed the subject, saying, "But, actually, you don't need anything to pad it. I estimate that you should have AC, right? You? Of course, if you really think it's too small, I can help you. I have a technique that can easily turn AC into AD, or even an E. Do you want me to help you?" "Shut up." Tang Yinro was furious. If Huang Ying hadn't suggested that she take this guy to Jiang Feng Group, she would have wanted to slap him. "Come with me to the Peak Group." After saying that, he turned and walked out. Oh. Lin Fan thought that Tang Yinro wanted him to cooperate in the acting, so he didn't think much about it and followed her out. After all, he had taken the money and had to be professional. 20 minutes later, the two appeared at the entrance of Peak Group. "I'm warning you, don't talk nonsense later. Otherwise, if you mess up my business, I won't forgive you," Tang Yinro reminded. "Just do your thing, don't worry about me. I'm just taking a look inside." Lin Fan has no time to meddle in this girl's affairs. He came here purely out of cooperation. After all, he promised her that he would play the role of husband and wife and do his best to show his respect. After the two of them went in, Tang Yinro went to communicate with the front desk, and it was obvious that they had made an appointment before. After she finished communicating, she turned around and found that this guy was already chatting and laughing with a pretty girl in the hall. They were having a very good chat. She was so angry that she stomped her feet. "Pervert," Tang Yinro muttered to herself. This guy actually flirted with other girls in front of her. But when she thought that they were just a fake couple, she felt relieved. After waiting for 2 minutes, the elevator door suddenly opened and several people walked out. She recognized Bao Yarn, the project manager of Jiang Feng Group, at a glance. Just as she was heading over, another person suddenly appeared behind Manager Bao. This person was none other than Jiang Feng. The two of them were talking and laughing side by side. Tang Yinro was stunned where she was. She knew that Jiang Feng had already dealt with Bao Yang in advance, and the project talks were probably half failed. Hey, isn't this Miss Tang? Are you here to discuss the project? Jiang Feng asked knowingly. What's it to you? Tang Yinro said coldly. Manager Bao at the side immediately smiled and said, Ms. Tang, we are all friends, don't talk like that. I heard from Master Jiang that you want to discuss a 100 million project with our company. Well, Manager Bao, let's sit down and talk in detail. Don't worry, our company will definitely show its sincerity and work hard to make this project a success. I hope you can give us this opportunity. Tang Yinro spoke humbly, with a very sincere attitude. That doesn't mean you can't. Bao Yang replied with a smile. Oh. Tang Yinro was obviously a little surprised, and immediately asked excitedly, Manager Bao, really? With your company's strength, there is indeed no problem. However, your company's image has a big problem, which will have a great impact on our future cooperation. So, I'm sorry, Miss Tang, the risk is too great, and we at Peak Group dare not take the risk. Bao Yang was still smiling. What do you mean? Manager Bao, can you explain it more clearly? I think there is nothing wrong with our company's image. Tang Yinro asked in confusion. At this time, Jiang Feng suddenly took out a stack of photos and shouted to their hall, everyone come and take a look, there is explosive news. The other guests and company members in the lobby were stunned at first, and then they gathered around. Jiang Feng distributed the photos in his hand to them. Who are these two people? Kissing in the street. Young people nowadays are so shameless. They don't know how to restrain themselves in public. Yeah, we can't kiss each other when we get home. It's too corrupting to society. The onlookers expressed their opinions. Tang Yinro snatched the two photos, took a closer look, and immediately frowned, because the male protagonist in the photos was her husband, Lin Fan. Lin Fan was actually hugging and kissing a young woman on the street. Are you surprised? Jiang Feng looked at Tang Yinro in front of him and smiled triumphantly. Without waiting for Tang Yinro to answer, he immediately shouted, Guess who this man is? Who is it? I don't seem to know him. Could he be some famous person? She doesn't look like a big star. Why is Master Jiang showing us such a corrupt photo? Several people were puzzled. He has a very important background. He is none other than Miss Tang's husband. His name is Lin Fan. Wow tilde. As soon as these words were spoken, the whole audience was in an uproar. Wow, she's cheating on me. Miss Tang is so beautiful, but her husband is cheating on her. This is really explosive news. If Miss Tang can tolerate this, then Tang Pharmaceuticals will probably be in trouble. Various slanderous voices were heard. Tang Yinro is not stupid either. This was taken on the street. Lin Fan was photographed just after he kissed a woman. Who would stare at an ordinary person all the time? He must have been caught in the photo. This is Jiang Feng's conspiracy. Jiang Feng, what do you want to do? Tang Yinro said coldly. Regardless of whether it was a conspiracy or not, the handle was now in Jiang Feng's hands, which was very disadvantageous to her. Jiang Feng smiled and said, Tang Yinro, you just got married to him, and your husband kissed another woman in public. The image of Tang Pharmaceuticals has been damaged. Before long, the whole Jiangcheng City will know about this. How can you expect Jiang Feng Group to trust you? There's something fishy about this matter. I'll figure it out and give the public an explanation later. You don't have to worry about it. Tang Yinro was too lazy to talk to Jiang Feng, but looked at Bao Yang and said, Manager Bao, I don't think a few photos alone can prove anything. For example, someone specially arranged a woman to kiss my husband, and then took a photo and used it to frame him. Har har, Miss Tang, you are quite humorous. Besides, our company would not dare to take the risk if something like this happened, unless you have evidence to prove that someone deliberately framed your husband. Otherwise, I'm sorry. Bao Yang smiled and didn't say anything else. Tang Yinro, if I were you, I would quickly divorce that guy and then marry me, Jiang Feng. Then you can have whatever you want. Why bother with all this? Otherwise, Tang Pharmaceuticals will go bankrupt and your family will be left with nothing. The Tang family will blame you for everything. Jiang Feng said gloatingly. Par tilde. But just as he finished speaking, he was patted from behind, which scared Jiang Feng. When he turned around, he found that it was Lin Fan. Chapter 7, Reversal of Situation. Damn, I was wondering why you looked a bit like that idiot young master from the Jiang family. Turns out it was really you. After Lin Fan finished speaking, he immediately walked to Tang Yinro's side and said with a smile, "Wife, it looks like you are in trouble. Why didn't you call me?" Tang Yinro wanted to laugh. Although this guy is a bit annoying, he said something that she didn't dare to say. In the whole Jiangcheng, there should be no one else who dares to call Jiang Feng an idiot except this guy, right? Sure enough, Jiang Feng was so angry that he gnashed his teeth. This guy actually called Manager Bao a second-rate young master in front of him and slapped him on the back, which was really an insult to him. However, his subordinate Jiang Guai responded that this guy is quite good at fighting and they cannot fight with him. When everyone saw Lin Fan, they immediately recognized him as the man in the photo. This cheating man has appeared. Let's see how Miss Tang handles him. If we choose to indulge him, then Tang's pharmaceuticals will really be finished. With a president like this company is not a good one. The person who spoke was the one arranged by Jiang Feng to cooperate with Jiang Feng in acting. Tang Yinro, I'll give you a chance. Divorce him in front of everyone now, and then agree to marry me. Not only will you get this 100 million project, but you will also have my Jiang family to protect you in the future. There was an evil look on Jiang Feng's face. He just wanted to see what choice this girl would make in this situation. Faced with this situation, Tang Yinro's mind went blank. She didn't know how to deal with it at all. She was absolutely unwilling to agree to marry Jiang Feng. But if he doesn't agree, how can he break the deadlock? Jiang idiot, what are you talking about? Who said I cheated on you? Who did I cheat on you with? Lin Fan suddenly asked. Tang Yinro got angry when she saw Lin Fan. She stuffed the photos into his arms and said coldly, "I'll deal with you after we get back." In fact, Lin Fan had already seen it. His eyesight and hearing were not comparable to those of ordinary people. He just asked deliberately just now. "Lin Fan, don't think I don't know that you two are just acting. Do you really think that getting a marriage certificate means you are a real couple? I have already sent someone to check your information. You are just a poor loser who came from some remote mountain area and was used as a shield by Tang Yinro." Jiang Feng sneered, "You are a clown who stirs up trouble. You don't know how to be low-key when playing with women outside. Now you have been photographed, right? You are exposed, right?" However, Lin Fan laughed and said, "Fuck, Jiang idiot, you are so dishonest. You paid that woman to come over and forcefully kiss me, and then took photos to slander me. Now you dare to use this to threaten my wife. Let me ask you, are you shameless?" After saying that, Lin Fan looked at Jiang Feng. Jiang Feng was about to say something when suddenly a red light flashed in his eyes. Then his body trembled and he said, "Shameless, very shameless, I am shameless to the extreme." When these words came out, the whole audience was stunned. However, everyone thought Jiang Feng was joking and there should be a twist. But the next moment, Jiang Feng continued, "I'm sorry, Mr. Lin, it's all my fault. I shouldn't have asked someone to forcefully kiss you, and then took photos to slander you. I'm shameless and immoral. Can I apologize to you and admit my mistakes? Please forgive me." Everyone was dumbfounded again, not knowing what was going on with Jiang Feng. However, the next scene made their jaws drop to the ground. Jiang Feng knelt on the ground with a plop, then walked closer and hugged Lin Fan's thighs, begging in a crying voice, "Lin Fan, I really know I was wrong, please forgive me, I am too shameless, please hit me." Tilde. As soon as he finished speaking, Lin Fan slapped him. Tilde. Then, Lin Fan slapped her a few more times, then turned back to Tang Yinro and said, "Wife, how about you slap her a couple of times? It feels great." Tang Yinro swallowed her saliva. Is this still the Jiang Feng she knew? Asking for a fight. I don't fight. Tang Yinro always felt something was wrong. Jiang Feng couldn't be so mean. Okay, let him beat himself up then. Lin Fan said directly to Jiang Feng, "Slap yourself in the face until it's swollen." Okay. Jiang Feng seemed very happy and slapped himself in the face. Suddenly, the sound of parpar, of slapping people in the face was heard in the spacious hall of Peak Group. This made the people Jiang Feng hired dumbfounded. They thought he was possessed by evil spirits, but they were just cooperating in the acting and did not dare to say anything. Other people in the hall were also extremely surprised. This was the eldest young master of the Jiang family, and yet he actually knelt down to an unknown person, kept admitting his mistakes, and even slapped himself in the face. What's going on? Okay, the video is recorded, you can get up now. Lin Fan felt that it was about time, grinned, and snapped his fingers. Jiang Feng's body trembled again, as if he woke up from a dream. He saw himself kneeling on the ground, holding Lin Fan's thigh in his arms, and looked confused. He quickly let go of his hand and sat down on the ground. Feeling a swelling pain on his face, he looked at Bao Yang in panic and asked, "Manager Bao, what happened just now?" Bao Yang didn't know how to explain it. This was too weird and so damn embarrassing. Jiang Feng not only asked others to slap him, but also slapped himself. If this matter were to get out, it would probably make people laugh their heads off. Although Tang Yinro also felt very strange and didn't know what was going on, it didn't matter anymore. The situation had turned around and now it was her turn to perform. "Manager Bao, you heard it just now, and my husband also recorded it. The contents of those photos were all planned by young Master Jiang to frame my husband, so there is no such thing as damaging the company's image." Tang Yinro looked at Bao Yang with a slight smile on her face and said, "So, the project you mentioned before, is it?" "Wait, Manager Bao, what's going on?" Jiang Feng was a little confused. Bao Yang frowned. Although he also noticed Jiang Feng's strange behavior just now, it had been recorded, so Jiang Feng's conspiracy would definitely not succeed. "So," he said directly, "Jiang Feng, you just admitted that you arranged someone to take the photo, and Mr. Lin has already recorded the video." Bao Yang deliberately reminded him, and then said, "Then, what should we do with the 100 million project? You decide." Jiang Feng took a deep breath. He recalled that Lin Fan patted him on the back before, and seemed to have thought of something. But now things could not be undone, and no matter how much he said, it would be useless. However, Jiang Feng did not panic, as he obviously had a backup plan. He just smiled faintly and said, "I admit that I was just playing tricks before, but that was just a manifestation of my love for fun. It doesn't affect the fact that I have already won the 100 million project from Peak Group." "Manager Bao, what's going on?" Tang Yinro frowned slightly, obviously feeling something was wrong. Bao Yang smiled bitterly and said, "I'm sorry, Miss Tang. I had already reached an agreement with Mr. Jiang before you came. I was just cooperating with him just now. I'm really sorry." "You? Wife, we don't want to cooperate with this company that has no credibility and no bottom line. Let's go." Lin Fan said this domineeringly, took Tang Yinro's hand and walked out. Tang Yinro was about to shake him off when she heard Lin Fan say, "They clearly teamed up to play with you. Aren't you ashamed enough? Or do you want to divorce me and marry that idiot?" Tang Yinro was speechless. Lin Fan was right. These two people were just playing a double game. No matter what she did, the result would be the same, unless she married young Master Jiang. "Tang Yinro, you will regret this. Once you walk out of this door, you will just have to wait for the destruction of Tang Pharmaceuticals." Har 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 har. Jiang Feng laughed. However, the two of them didn't even look back and just walked out. Chapter 8, It's the Beauty Pill. After getting into the car, Tang Yinro closed the window and burst into tears. Her tears flowed like a flood, and she was extremely sad. Because her only hope had been shattered, endless grievances surged in her heart. Lin Fan did not try to comfort her. Some things become more serious the more you intervene. In this way, Tang Yinro cried for nearly 10 minutes before she stopped. Lin Fan took out 2 tissues and handed them to her. After Tang Yinro took them, she glared at Lin Fan angrily but didn't say a word. "Oh, I really don't understand women. They make simple things so complicated." Lin Fan shook his head. "You also said." Tang Yinro naturally had no idea what Lin Fan meant, so she started the car and drove towards the company. She is going back to hold a meeting to prepare for the company's closure. At the same time, the president's office in Tang Pharmaceutical Building. Xiao Hongyu, the head of the RD department, had something urgent to discuss with Tang Yinro, but when he knocked on the door there was no response. He pushed the door gently and found it was open, so he walked in. Where did the people go? After Mr. Xiao finished speaking, his eyes suddenly fell to the ground. He was a very clean person. Whenever he saw garbage in the room, he would subconsciously bend down to pick it up. This time is no exception. But when he grabbed the tissue, he saw a few big words. Beauty pill. As the head of the new Drug Research and Development Department, they have been researching drugs for beauty, weight loss, and lowering the three highs, so the three big words, Myandan, are very conspicuous. So, Mr. Xiao subconsciously spread out the tissue and looked at the densely written words of more than 20 kinds of medicinal materials, even the dosage. He looked at it carefully for a while and suddenly his eyes widened. One of the 7 ancient recipes, the beauty pill. Oh my god, which great god wrote this recipe that even includes the beauty pill from the 7 ancient recipes? It's been lost for more than 2,000 years. Old Xiao was laughing and crying. His family was fortunate enough to get the prescription for the beauty pill, but it was missing the 6 main herbs. Over the years, he had tried to mix the missing herbs himself. It's a pity that after more than 30 years, there has been no result. Unexpectedly, a complete version appeared this time. Although he was not sure whether it was completely correct, judging from the 21 medicinal materials that already existed, the combination of these medicinal properties was very ingenious and it should be almost correct. Har har har, great, I have to go verify it. After saying this, Mr. Xiao ran towards the laboratory. 20 minutes later, Tang Yinro returned to the company with a heavy heart. When she saw Lin Fan, she felt annoyed. Honey, I'm going home first. Don't miss me too much. Lin Fan was hungry, so he wanted to go back and find something to eat. Being with this taciturn person made him depressed, so he left quickly. When no one is around, you don't have to act. Tang Yinro felt uncomfortable when this guy called her wife all the time. Lin Fan didn't say anything more and turned to leave. Just as he was about to take a taxi home, he suddenly remembered something. He placed 2 fingers on his brows and closed his eyes. Through their mental method of talisman magic, Lin Fan quickly located the whereabouts of the tracking talisman. The effective range of this tracking symbol is within 10 kilometers, and the other party is in Shicheng district, 8 kilometers away from here. What's going on with that girl's jade pendant? Lin Fan held the jade pendant in front of his chest and looked at it again. Master said that this jade pendant is the only original thing on him. Yes, he didn't even have pants, because when the master picked him up, he was still very small and had no pants on. In the snow and ice, he was carried up the mountain. So this is the only clue to his identity. In life, we must always find out where we come from, no matter whether our parents are powerful, wealthy, or poor, simple and alone. I only hope that I can see the place where he was born and the person who gave him his flesh and blood during my lifetime. However, as long as he does not remove the tracking talisman himself, the person he has planted can be located within a month, so he is not in a hurry. Originally, Lin Fan planned to take a taxi to Tang's house, but he found that Tang's house seemed to be just across the street, separated by a park. As long as he went through the back door of the park, he would reach the wealthy community. He also wanted to familiarize himself with the surroundings, so he walked across the road. It is early summer, and the vegetation in Jiangcheng Park is lush and full of life. There is a big mountain in the park, which is quite high and the air is very good. Lin Fan thought it would be nice to come here for a morning run and find a place on the mountain to practice. There were quite a lot of people in the park at this time, but most of them were old men and women dancing square dances, and some were bringing their children to play. Seeing this wonderful life, Lin Fan smiled knowingly and was obviously longing for it. Beep tilde. But suddenly, a whistle sounded ahead. On a small slope about 20 meters away from Lin Fan, a little girl of about 5 or 6 years old was picking up a small ball. A tourist sightseeing bus happened to be coming down the slope at a very fast speed. In addition, it was a downhill road, and the little girl rushed out suddenly and could not stop at all. The driver was also scared and broke out in a cold sweat. He knew he couldn't stop the car at this speed, so he could only shout, "Baby, get out of the way." The little girl was about to be hit. Lin Fan's body swayed, and in less than a second he rushed over to cover the distance of 20 meters. He moved to the side holding the little girl and narrowly avoided the collision. The car braked after driving 7 or 8 meters, and looked back with lingering fear. Only when he saw that the little girl was fine did he breathe a sigh of relief. He gave a thumbs up, obviously praising Lin Fan. Lin Fan smiled and didn't say much. The little girl was lucky. If he hadn't taken action, such a young girl would have most likely died after such a fierce collision. The driver drove away. Seeing that the little girl was a little frightened, Lin Fan smiled and comforted her. It's okay, your brother will protect you, it won't hit you. The little girl's nervous expression relaxed and she said with a smile, Brother, are you Ultraman? Lin Fan knew what the little girl meant, smiled and said, Isn't it? At this time, an elderly man who looked to be in his 80s ran over, followed by a middle-aged man. The old man hugged the little girl in his arms and asked worriedly, Xiaoyu, are you okay? Just now the old man also heard from the people next to him that his granddaughter was almost hit by a car, but fortunately she was rescued by a young man. Grandpa, I'm fine. My brother saved me. He's so powerful. He took me away in a flash. The little girl described it vividly. The old man looked at Lin Fan and said, Thank you, young man. You're welcome, but old man, I'm not saying anything bad about you, but you're so old, how can you still be so careless? You let such a young child run around everywhere. You don't know how dangerous it was just now. If I hadn't been a step faster, she might have lost her life. Lin Fan was a little angry, and then said, If something really happened, how would you explain it to your family? I guess you would feel extremely guilty. You should pay more attention to it in the future. Before the old man could speak, the middle-aged man behind him spoke first. Boy, how can you talk like that? Do you know who he is? Ju Wu. The old man turned around and glared at him, and the middle-aged man immediately became quiet. Then, the old man smiled at Lin Fan and said, Got it. I will definitely pay attention to it next time. Thank you so much for what you did just now. You're welcome. After Lin Fan calmed down, he glanced at the old man in front of him. The old man was wearing loose training clothes and had a head full of white hair. Although he was old, his back was straight, which reminded him of a certain type of person. That's a soldier. The middle-aged man standing behind him had a resolute face and a hint of sharpness between his brows. He should not be an ordinary person. Chapter 9 Xuanwu. What's your name, young man? Where do you live? The old man asked gently. Lin Fan was not on guard and said directly, Lin Fan, live at my wife's house, just across the park. Oh, it seems we are not far away. After the old man finished speaking, he took out a bank card from his pocket and handed it to Lin Fan, saying with a smile, It's just a small token of my respect, but there are 200,000 in the card, I hope you don't think it's too little. Although Lin Fan likes money very much, he would definitely not accept such a simple favor. Old man, it's just a small favor, you don't need to pay me. Lin Fan paused. He didn't want to tell the old man, but the old man seemed quite nice, so he said truthfully, Old man, have you been feeling unwell recently? The old man frowned. He also didn't expect that this young boy could actually see his hidden injury. However, this matter could not be known to others, so the old man deliberately smiled and said, There is nothing wrong. I exercise regularly and my body is in great shape. I had a full body checkup not long ago and there is nothing wrong with me. Did I see it wrong? Lin Fan just felt a sense of decay in the old man's body, which should be caused by internal damage, and it was very serious. But the hospital should be able to detect such injuries. Old man, if you have time, please go for another checkup in the next few days. I feel like you are ill and it's not a minor illness. Lin Fan still reminded him that since meeting was fate and the other party was going to give him 200,000 yuan, it was his duty to help him. Okay. The old man smiled. Well, remember to keep an eye on the little girl and don't let anything happen again. Lin Fan said nothing more and turned to leave. As soon as Lin Fan left, the old man took a deep breath and his face suddenly fell. He looked at the middle-aged man beside him and said, This guy is not simple. He saw the hidden illness in my body the first time he saw me. Maybe God has mercy on me and wants me to live a few more years. Ju Wu, secretly check all his information for me. Yes, Xuanwu. Ju Wu received the order. After Lin Fan crossed the park, he quickly returned to the Tang family compound. The yard is not too big, and is home to the two brothers of the Tang family, with a total of 2 large villas. Lin Fan took the medicinal materials stored inside from the security guard at the door, and prepared to go to Tang Yinro's kitchen to boil the medicine. It has been 6 days since the last time he took the medicine, so he has to boil it quickly to avoid trouble if the fire poison attacks. But just after Lin Fan took 2 steps, he heard someone shouting, Boy, stop. Lin Fan was stunned, then looked towards the source of the sound. He saw a young man walking towards him with a cold face. Lin Fan recognized him at a glance. He was Tang Yinrou's cousin, Tang Shen. "Excuse me, is there anything I can help you with?" Lin Fan didn't have a good impression of this guy. He was among those who impeached Tang Yinrou. "There's no one else here, so let's stop pretending, okay? I've seen that you were recruited by Yang Ru as a shield, but she is ignorant, and I can't let her damage the interests of our Tang family." Tang Xing looked at Lin Fan coldly, and said in a threatening tone, "However much money she gave you, I will give you double. You immediately file for divorce from her and get out of the Tang family. Otherwise, don't blame me for being cruel and ruthless. Are you done?" Faced with such a threat, Lin Fan did not take it seriously at all. "Boy, don't you understand me? Don't really think that I dare not touch you? It's not worth risking your life for that little money. If you cooperate with me, you can get double the money. Why do you have to compete with me?" Tang Shen continued to threaten. "Are you sure you want to give me double?" Lin Fan suddenly asked. Upon hearing this, Tang Shen laughed in his heart. Wasn't he this guy pretending to be very manly just now, but isn't he just greedy for money? Of course, I'll give her double what she gives me and divorce her immediately. Tang Shen said proudly. "Okay, she gave me 100 million, you want to give me double that, right?" After Lin Fan finished speaking, he pulled out a card from his wallet and said, "Transfer the money." Tang Shen was speechless for a while. "Fuck, are you kidding me?" Tang Shen was furious. "Isn't that obvious enough?" Lin Fan took the card back and sneered, "You're pretending to be stupid when you don't have any money." After saying that, Lin Fan turned around and walked towards Tang Yinrou's house. When he came here before, he had asked the security guard at the door. The building on the right was Tang Yinrou's home, and the building on the left was Tang Yinrou's uncle's home. "You're going to regret the decision you made today, little brat." Tang Xing pointed at Lin Fan and cursed. But Lin Fan ignored him and walked straight towards Tang Yinrou's villa, and met Tang's mother at the door of the hall. Tang's mother shook her head, not knowing what her daughter wanted from this guy. He had nothing but a big mouth and could brag, and he was shameless enough to be a live-in son-in-law. "Hello, mother-in-law. Which room is Yinrou?" Lin Fan grinned. "You can't sleep with her no matter where she is. The master and I haven't agreed to your marriage yet." Tang's mother said coldly. "If my daughter sleeps with this guy, it will be too late for the Tang family to change their minds. Young Master Jiang will not marry a woman he has slept with before." "Okay, then mother-in-law, you have to find me a room to sleep in. Otherwise, it would be bad if outsiders knew about it. You don't want others to think that you are abusing your son-in-law, do you?" Lin Fan reminded. Tang's mother took a deep breath. Indeed, Lin Fan was chosen by her daughter after all, and they had obtained a marriage certificate. Even if they couldn't sleep together, they couldn't do anything too outrageous. So, she personally took Lin Fan to the third floor and arranged him in the room next to Tang Yinrou, warning him, "Lin Fan, I don't know what's going on between you and Yinrou, but you can't sleep together until you complete the task assigned by the master. Otherwise, not only will I not acknowledge you as my son-in-law, I will also hate you. Do you understand?" "It's no problem. The mission will be completed in no time anyway." Lin Fan grinned. Tang's mother frowned. She always felt that this guy was full of nonsense and could not be trusted at all, so she didn't waste any words and said, "Anyway, you can do whatever you want." After saying that, she left. Lin Fan took the herbs to the kitchen and started to tinker with them. Tang Pharmaceuticals. Har har har, Mr. Tang, what great god do you know? He actually possesses the recipe for the beauty pill, one of the 7 wonders of ancient medicine. In the president's office, Xiao Hongyu, the RD manager, brought a report and walked up to Tang Yinrou and said excitedly, "Tell me where that great man is. I must ask him for advice." Tang Yinrou, who was preparing to hold a shareholders' meeting of the company, was thinking about what to tell the shareholders later when she suddenly saw Mr. Xiao rushing in with a smile on his face. She was a little confused. "Mr. Xiao, what great god did you just mention? What elixir?" Tang Yinrou was a little absent-minded just now and obviously didn't hear clearly. Mr. Xiao repeated again, "It's the beauty pill. Didn't Mr. Tang hire a great man to write it?" After that, Xiao Hongyu took out the tissue from his pocket, opened it carefully, and handed it to Tang Yinrou, saying, "This is the recipe. This is a beauty pill, one of the 7 ancient recipes. This pill is incredible. It can make a person look at least 10 years younger. And it not only affects the skin, but also the body functions. Once it is put into mass production, it will cause a huge wave of beauty drugs, and our company will also make a comeback. Boss Tang, the person who provided the recipe, is probably a master. If you have the ability to retain him, you must hold on to him. Otherwise, if our competitors seize the opportunity, it will be a devastating blow to us, especially the hostile Jiang group. Mr. Xiao reminded. His tilde. Tang Yinro took a deep breath, obviously still not quite believing it. It turned out that Lin Fan had not lied to her and that it was actually a beauty pill. Boss Tang, please tell me who that great god is and where he is. I want to meet him. Mr. Xiao asked again. Tang Yinro finally came to her senses and confirmed again, Mr. Xiao, are you sure what's written on that paper is the rumored beauty pill? Chapter 10. That great man is my husband. Yes, I verified it an hour ago. The results obtained through the injection test showed that the test subjects showed very obvious results. The drug is absorbed hundreds of times faster than ordinary beauty drugs. It can also detoxify, beautify and nourish the skin within half an hour after injection. Mr. Xiao explained. Tang Yinro was shocked again. In the past, the upgrades to beauty products could at most double the effect, but this one was hundreds of times, which was terrifying. Who is he? Where is he? Mr. Xiao was still excited. His name is Lin Fan, and he should be at my house now. Tang Yinro smiled awkwardly. Your home? He visited your home. Mr. Xiao was stunned. He's my husband. Tang Yang Judo. This time when she called Lin Fan husband, she said it naturally and spontaneously, perhaps because Lin Fan made her look at him in a new light. No wonder that guy was so fearless and said such weird things. It turned out that he had already made up his mind. At this moment, Tang Yinro just wanted to go home. Moreover, I want to go home more than ever. Mr. Xiao, please verify it again. If it is confirmed to be correct, we will start mass production. As for my husband, I will let you meet him another day. That's it for now. Bye. After Tang Yinro finished speaking, she picked up her bag and strode out the door. Oh. Mr. Xiao was also a little confused. When did Tang Yinro get married? Moreover, what kind of person is her husband, who even has such a unique recipe as the beauty pill? Tang family courtyard. After Lin Fan drank the medicine, he felt refreshed. He thought that no one in this home gave him a good face. Anyway, almost everyone knew that they were acting, so there was no point in continuing. After hesitating for a while, Lin Fan felt that this job should be terminated. After stuffing the clothes he had just taken out back into his black backpack, Lin Fan wrote a line of words on his mobile phone and sent it out. Tang Yinro was driving to the gate of the compound when she suddenly received a text message. The note on it was Lin Fan. She hurriedly opened it and was stunned. I'm leaving. Young Master Jiang already knows that we are acting. There is no point in continuing. Find a time to leave. Tang Yinro was absent-minded for a while, and suddenly reacted. She was more nervous than ever before, as if the lover she had been in love with for more than 10 years suddenly said that he wanted to break up. I feel inexplicably uncomfortable. She just drove the car in quickly, found a place to stop, and ran towards the villa. Lin Fan just sent a text message, maybe he is still at home. Finally, Tang Yinro met Lin Fan in the hall. I just texted you. I should have known not to waste that time. Lin Fan smiled, took out the bank card, handed it to Tang Yinro, and said, it cost 500 yuan, just consider it as the cost of today's performance. Hearing this, Tang Yinro was a little at a loss. She deliberately straightened her clothes, then adjusted her breathing, and said in a very cold tone, why don't you continue acting? You promised me that you would do it within half a year. Why do you care whether Jiang Feng knows it or not? Firstly, your parents don't like me, and secondly, I can't sleep with you. You always have a sullen face when you see me, and I don't think I'm happy with the money I'm making, so. I'm sorry. Lin Fan stuffed the card into Tang Yinro's hand and took a step forward. But just as Lin Fan took a few steps, Tang Yinro grabbed his hand. Lin Fan frowned slightly, not knowing why this girl suddenly wanted to pull him. I told you, it only cost 500 yuan. If you think it's too much, I'll pay you back when I make money. Lin Fan said. I don't want you to leave. Tang Yinro blushed and spoke in a gentle voice, then looked up at Lin Fan. Lin Fan was stunned. It was the first time he saw this girl being so gentle, and she even blushed. What's going on? Lin Fan, your beauty pill recipe is real. Mr. Xiao said that this recipe may help our company make a comeback. I misunderstood you before. I'm sorry. Tang Yinro lowered her head and apologized. This shocked Lin Fan again. This cold beauty actually apologized to him? However, in the final analysis, it is because of the benefits gained, and it is definitely not sincere. So Lin Fan tried to test him. Since the beauty pill can help you, it can also be regarded as relieving your family of the crisis. It seems that there is no point for me to stay here, right? No, it makes sense. But as soon as she finished speaking, Tang Yinro said. Moreover, her hands were tightly holding Lin Fan, as if she was afraid that if she let go, she would never be able to pull Lin Fan back. Knowing that this girl had tasted his benefits, she decided to keep him. In fact, Lin Fan also likes this girl very much. After all, which man doesn't like a beautiful woman? Apart from her cold attitude towards him, Tang Yinro is very beautiful and has a great figure, with a curvy figure and good childbearing ability. If I treat him better in the future, it is not impossible to marry her reluctantly. But if I stay, your family won't treat me well, and I can't sleep with you. It seems meaningless for me to be a fake husband. Lin Fan intends to reverse the current deadlock. He can stay, but the initiative must be in his hands, not in the hands of this girl. Tang Yinro is not stupid either and knows what Lin Fan wants. Although this guy looks lazy and lecherous, if he is really an expert as Mr. Xiao said, it would be her loss if he left. You've helped our family a lot. If my parents knew, they would definitely agree for us to be together. Tang Yinro obviously chose to avoid the main issue and did not mention the matter of sleeping together. After all, he and Lin Fan had just known each other for less than a day, and he really couldn't bring himself to ask her to sleep with him. What's the point of being together? We can't sleep together and we're just like strangers. I don't like this feeling. Let's break up. I can go find other beauties. Lin Fan said deliberately. This is a great opportunity. If we don't seize the opportunity, we don't know how long it will take to truly defeat Tang Yinro. Same room. Tang Yinro's pretty face flushed, and she was obviously very shy. Then, she continued, it's impossible for us to sleep together. We just met and I'm not used to it. Besides, we are just pretending to be a couple, why would we sleep together? But I am a man too and I have needs too. If you don't let me touch you and ask me to endure it for half a year, I won't do it. Lin Fan said. Tang Yinro's face turned even redder. She knew what Lin Fan meant. After hesitating for a moment, she said, how about this? According to the agreement, you can pretend to be my husband for the next 6 months and you can freely date, but you can't be too blatant, as that would easily damage each other's reputation. When we both find each other's true love, we can bless each other. How about that? After hearing this, Lin Fan thought it was very reasonable. Anyway, I can earn 1.5 million by pretending for half a year, and I can still work on my career in the meantime. Most importantly, it won't affect my chances of picking up girls. It seems quite humane, so I said, okay. Tang Yinro snatched Lin Fan's backpack, pursed her lips and said, I'll put it back for you. You are not allowed to leave until the due date. Oh. Lin Fan smiled bitterly. However, compared to the arrogant and cold beauty before, this girl's complexion is much better now, which makes him quite satisfied. During dinner, the attitude of Tang's parents was obviously much more respectful. It must be because Tang Yinro told them about the beauty pill. Chapter 11 Vixen. Xiao Fan, it was all our fault before. We wrongly blamed you. I heard from Yang Ru that you provided a prescription that helped the company revive. If that's true, then it wouldn't be bad for Yang Ru to marry you. I hope this is true. Tang Long now gave himself a way out. Yes, if it really helps Tang's pharmaceuticals to make a comeback, we will definitely not object to your marriage to Yinro. After all, you are handsome, and Auntie thinks you are very good. Tang's mother laughed. Facing the changeable faces of these two elders, Lin Fan did not feel disgusted. After all, this is human nature. If you are incompetent, people will look down on you. When you become strong, naturally everyone around you will be good people. Har har, that's good. I hope the company will grow quickly. With my parents' approval, Yenro and I can have children together sooner and continue our offspring. Lin Fan grinned. The two elders were stunned for a moment, then burst into laughter. Tang Yenro blushed at first, then rolled her eyes at Lin Fan. After dinner, Lin Fan returned to his room, calmed down, and began to practice pure Yarngong. There are 9 levels in pure Yarngong. He has currently completed the 2nd level and is preparing to reach the 3rd level. However, it is this level that has been holding him back for 2 years. The reason is that the fire poison produced in the body cannot be eradicated and the foundation is affected. This matter also gave him a headache. Pure Yarngong was the key to improving his strength. If he could not break through pure Yarngong, his strength would stagnate. Forget it, let's go out and relax. I heard that there are many fun places in big cities, such as bars. There are a lot of beautiful women, and people wear less at this time. Since we are in a big city, how can we not go and experience it? Lin Fan muttered to himself for a while and walked out of the room. But as soon as I went out, I met Tang Yenro. Where are you going? Go out for a stroll. Lin Fan said. You must come back at night and you are not allowed to spend the night outside. Tang Yang Judo. Oh? You mean, you want me to come back and spend the wedding night with you tonight? Lin Fan raised his eyebrows and smiled wickedly. You wish. Tang Yenro's face turned red due to Lin Fan's teasing. Then you are meddling too much. There is no such clause in our contract, right? Lin Fan said this and walked away. You? Tang Yenro stomped her feet in anger, but there was indeed no such item. After leaving Tang's house, Lin Fan remembered that there seemed to be a bar on the east side of the park, so he went straight across the park and saw a bar called Jiangcheng Bar. Lin Fan pushed open the door and was greeted by a burst of heavy metal music, which was deafening. Suddenly, he felt a movement on his right hand. He opened his hand and saw that it was the tracking symbol that responded automatically. This meant that the girl who kissed him was within 50 meters. Is this little girl in this bar? Lin Fan was a little surprised. When he saw her during the day, she was in the west of the city, but now she has come to the central city. It seems that this girl has a lot of business. He was acting to deceive people before, what role is he playing now? This made Lin Fan curious. It just so happened that he also wanted to ask where the girl's jade pendant came from and whether it had anything to do with him. After ordering a bottle of red wine, Lin Fan came to sit down at a table next to the dance floor. He found that the tracking symbol responded again and pointed in a direction. Dance floor. Lin Fan finally saw the beautiful girl from the dance floor. At this moment, she was wearing an extremely sexy miniskirt that hugged her hips, and only a black silk tights on her upper body. She kept twisting her body, looking very wild. Around the dance floor, all kinds of men and women were cheering, especially the wolf friends, who were staring at the beauties on the dance floor intently. Fuck, this girl is actually a dancer. Lin Fan finally confirmed it. Thinking about how this girl teamed up with Jiang Feng to harm him, if he didn't have the magic of talismans, he would have been badly harmed by her now. He must avenge this. But at this moment, a low whisper came from the side. Lin Fan then realized that people on his left, right and back were staring at him, and a few of them seemed to be making a bet. This guy is here for the first time, right? He doesn't even know the rules and dares to sit in seat number 1. I think he will be in a miserable situation later. You can't regret it if you buy it. It's like breaking your arms or legs. Buy it now, or you'll miss the chance. Is it possible that both hands and feet are broken? A burst of mocking voices came, although it was quiet, but Lin Fan's ears were much more sensitive than others, and he heard clearly what everyone said. Hearing this, Lin Fan hesitated for a moment and prepared to stand up. It was not because he was afraid, but because he did not want to cause trouble. This time he came out of retirement just to make money, and he really did not want to fight. But at this moment, everyone's eyes were looking at the same place, and Lin Fan subconsciously turned around and saw a sexy woman in her 30s wearing a hip-hugging short dress walking towards him. She was tall, about 1.7 meters tall, wearing a pair of silver high heels and walking towards him with a model's gait. The two big waves in front of her body rose and fell, making Lin Fan feel a little dizzy. The woman had long black hair, an oval face, eyes like grapes, and a natural charm that reminded people of an animal. Vixen. This mature figure attracted almost all men's attention. Who Lily is here? Someone whispered. Upon hearing the name, Lin Fan couldn't help but mutter, "Is she a vixen? Handsome guy, don't leave, stay and chat with me." Seeing that someone dared to sit in her seat, Hu Lili quickened her pace, came to Lin Fan, and put her hand on his shoulder. Seeing this, the people around immediately started talking quietly. This guy is done. His hand is on his shoulder. I guess it's his arm first. Not necessarily. It could also be the third leg. Fuck, this position is really possible. I remember one time, a self-righteous guy flirted with her, and the next second, Hu Lili kicked him in the crotch, and the guy was broken into pieces. It is said that he can't use his hands for half a year. His tilder, then we all lost, no one won. Wow, I'm going to kill them all this time. Lin Fan calmly looked at the beauty in front of him. The neckline of this girl's skirt was very low. From his angle, he could clearly see a large area of white skin, like a peeled half-cooked egg, white with a hint of pink, and with a trembling rhythm. After watching for a while, Lin Fan felt a fire rising in his lower abdomen. The master said that the pure yang qigong he practiced made him very susceptible to getting inflamed, and he had finally managed to suppress the heat with the cold medicine he bought, but it was now coming back again. Damn it, what a big loss. Lin Fan muttered in his heart. Does it look good? Hu Lili looked at Lin Fan with a smile. This guy's eyes had never left her chest since she appeared. It looks good, but it would be better if it was a little lower. Lin Fan grinned. Har har, really? How about I pull it down a little further? Hu Lili still smiled. That would be great. Lin Fan swallowed his saliva. Fuck, this ignorant boy dared to tease Hu Lili. He must be dead. Someone next to him whispered. Sure enough, the muscles around Hu Lili's mouth twitched twice, revealing a hint of evil charm. She suddenly raised her leg, obviously intending to kick Lin Fan's lower hip. Some people nearby who had foreseen what was going to happen immediately covered their eyes, not daring to watch this tragic scene. Chapter 12. Jiang Feng is here again. However, just as Hu Lili raised her white and delicate long legs, Lin Fan grabbed them with one hand, holding them firmly like a big pair of pliers. Sister, your legs are so long and white, but I want to see your big waves. Why are you showing me your legs? Lin Fan said deliberately. How could he not see that the other party was going to attack him? Hu Lili pulled hard and found that he didn't move at all. She was a little surprised. She didn't expect that this guy was so strong. Moreover, the man who could take her sneak attack without any preparation was definitely not an ordinary person, which made her curious. I just want you to see the legs first. As for the place you mentioned, I just want to show it to you. Isn't it easier for others to see it if there are so many people here? Hu Lili raised her eyebrows and said with a smile, how about we find a room later and I'll show it to you slowly. Oh shit. The crowd around was in an uproar. Unexpectedly, Hu Lili had met her match tonight. Who on earth is this guy? How could Hu Lili stop so quickly? Har har har, all destroyed. The banker stuffed all the money into his pocket and laughed. The others lost miserably. Gurgle. Lin Fan didn't expect that this sister was so good at teasing. To be honest, he had been teased by his 3 senior sisters since he was a child, so he couldn't help himself when faced with this girl's teasing. Hey, no problem. Lin Fan let go of Hu Lili's legs. Hu Lili did not continue to attack Lin Fan. She came here almost every night and met many people who provoked her, but she basically ended up in failure. Over time, this position became her exclusive seat. But so far, her identity remains extremely mysterious and almost no one knows it. What's your last name, brother? Hu Lili thought Lin Fan was about 24 or 25, and she had just turned 30, 5 or 6 years older than him, so it was not an exaggeration to call him brother. Just call me Xiao Fan, what about you? Lin Fan was bored, and with a super beautiful woman to chat with him, his depression for the day disappeared. Moreover, this sister has a perfect figure and is very fertile. He doesn't mind taking her in and marrying her home after he breaks up with Tang Yinro. Hu Lili. Fox. Lin Fan tried to shout. Eh? Brother Xiao Fan, how do you know my nickname? My friends like to call me Fox, but that's a compliment, not a derogatory term. Hu Lili reminded. Of course, I call you Sister Fox because you are pretty. And you are pretty, pretty. Do you want to say it's a bit flirty? Hu Lili raised her eyes and said, "Speak boldly, I like you very much. I am actually very happy that you describe me like this. You know, it has been a long time since anyone dared to talk to me like this." Everyone was respectful and courteous, saying flattering words. "I like people like you who speak the truth." Oh. Lin Fan was speechless. He only knew how to tell the truth, but this beautiful woman regarded that as an advantage. "Okay, Xiao Fan, let's drink. When you meet a good friend, you can drink a lot. You must get me drunk tonight. Later, I will let you see how sexy I am," Hu Lili said with a wicked smile. Lin Fan swallowed his saliva again, and the fire in his stomach increased, almost rising up. But at this moment, suddenly an inappropriate voice came. "Ms. Hu, don't believe him. This guy is just a bunch of bullshitters. He's a married man, but he still cheats on other women." After he finished speaking, a familiar voice appeared in front of the two of them. Lin Fan's whereabouts were exposed by Tang Shen. After being insulted by Lin Fan at the Tang family last time, Tang Shen held a grudge and approached Jiang Feng to discuss cooperation, wanting to kill Lin Fan together. It just so happened that Jiang Feng also hated Lin Fan to the core, which led to their current cooperation. "Mr. Jiang? Is there something wrong?" Hu Lili didn't care about Lin Fan's identity, nor did she care whether he was married or not. After all, how many people in the bar would care about these things? "Ms. Hu, this guy is their husband of Tang Yinro, the president of Tang Pharmaceuticals. His name is Lin Fan, and he and Tang Yinro have already obtained their marriage certificate. Don't be fooled by him." After Jiang Feng finished speaking, he looked at Lin Fan and sneered, "Boy, you are a poor loser from a remote mountain village, and you still want to date Miss Hu. Miss Hu, with your looks, will she be attracted to you? Are you done?" After Lin Fan finished speaking, he reached out and grabbed Hu Lili's white and tender hand, kneading it, and said, "Sister Fox and I are very familiar with each other. Our friendship is pure, understand?" Seeing Hu Lili being kneaded by Lin Fan in various ways without saying a word, Jiang Feng frowned. In order to win Hu Lili's favor, he used various methods over the past year and gave her gifts worth 5 million, but she was not moved at all. Hu Lili is like the top girl in Jiangcheng bar. Every rich kid who comes here wants to win her over, but so far no one has succeeded. In fact, there was no one who could sit down and have a good chat with her. I never thought that Lin Fan, a poor loser and a married man, would be favored by Hu Lili. Impossible. Jiang Feng felt a little twisted. He is the eldest son of the Jiang family and he can get whatever he wants in Jiangcheng, but he can't get either of the two women he wants. On the contrary, this poor guy from the mountains got it all. Jiang Feng thought about it and suddenly became angry. "Ms. Hu, would you be interested in a scumbag like Lin Fan? What about me? I am so sincere to you, and I will give you whatever you want without hesitation at any cost." "Why? How can this guy get your heart? I won't accept it." Hu Lili didn't expect that this guy would dare to lose his temper in front of her. So he said coldly, "Mr. Jiang, if you want to go crazy, please go away and don't disturb my fun of drinking and chatting with brother Xiaofan." After that, Hu Lili picked up the wine glass and smiled at Lin Fan. "Xiaofan, come, let's have a drink." Lin Fan smiled, picked up the wine glass, clinked it with Hu Lili, and then took a sip. At this moment, Jiang Feng really wanted to find a cave to hide in. It was so damn embarrassing that he lost to a poor boy in front of so many people. The people around him began to whisper, obviously mocking Jiang Feng. At this time, a group of people walked behind Jiang Feng, about 10 of them, one of whom was Jiang Feng's number 1 younger brother Xu Hu, and Jiang Guai, who was still limping. This time, Jiang Feng obviously came to avenge Jiang Guai. "Boy, come with me for a moment. Let's take care of some private matters. Don't alarm Miss Hu." Jiang Feng showed a wicked smile. "If you can't snatch the woman away, then just beat this guy up and see which woman will like a disabled man, even a disabled man whose third leg has been broken." "Sorry, I'm busy." Lin Fan was too lazy to pay attention to this guy. He went out just to fight, but these people were too weak and he couldn't muster any interest. "Oh, you don't dare, right? You're such a coward." Jiang Feng used the method of provoking the opponent. Chapter 13, Domineering Hu Lili. Just as Lin Fan was about to say something, Hu Lili on the side spoke first. "Mr. Jiang, didn't you see that I was chatting with brother Lin Fan? I don't care what grudges you have between you. He is mine now, and I hope you won't disturb him. This. Jiang Feng clenched his fists, gritted his teeth, and said, Ms. Hu, although I don't know where you come from, I hope you won't get involved in the feud between Lin Fan and me. What if I must get involved? Hu Lili raised her head suddenly, her face full of coldness. She said domineeringly, I'll say it again, Lin Fan is mine tonight. Anyone who dares to disturb me will bear the consequences. This woman is too arrogant. No matter where she comes from, there is no one in Jiangcheng that you, young Master Jiang, cannot afford to offend. The top subordinate Shu Hu couldn't stand it anymore and pointed at Hu Lili and said, If you meddle in other people's business again, I'll beat you up. Hit me. Just try. There was a murderous look in Hu Lili's eyes, which made Shu Hu gasp. At this time, a middle-aged man walked over quickly and laughed, Who are you? It turns out to be Miss Hu and Mr. Jiang. Please give me some face. After all, people who come to my Jiangcheng bar are here to have fun and relax for the day. All your expenses tonight will be charged to my account. The person who spoke was Jiang Guai, the father who loved bars. Jiang Guai is also a well-known figure in Jiangcheng City. He is well connected with both the black and white worlds, especially he is good friends with Chen Baiwan, the third in command of the Qianlong Society. Seeing Jiang Guai come forward, Hu Lili took a deep breath, then looked at Jiang Feng and said, For Mr. Jiang's sake, I won't bother with you, but if you provoke me again, I will make you pay for it. You? Shu Hu was about to curse when Jiang Feng, who was standing beside him, waved his hand and signaled him to be quiet. He could deny face to Hu Lili, but he couldn't deny face to Jiang Guai. Okay, then I'll give Mr. Jiang this face. Jiang Feng looked at Lin Fan and sneered, Besides hiding behind a woman and pretending to be something, what else can you do? You are just a country bumpkin. After saying that, Jiang Feng led his people to the other side of the dance floor, and then found 2 tables to sit down. Brother, I didn't scare you, did I? Hu Lili smiled and said, Don't worry, with my sister here, they won't dare to do anything to you. But to be honest, are you really Tang Yanrou's husband? She was very curious. If, as Jiang Feng said, Lin Fan was just a person from a remote mountain village, then it was impossible for the eldest lady of the Tang family, who was so outstanding, to be interested in him. Why, I can't drink and chat with you just because I have a wife? Lin Fan asked back. Hu Lili was stunned for a moment, then she laughed and said, That's right, okay, sister knows she was wrong and shouldn't have asked too many questions, so drink a glass as a punishment. After saying that, Hu Lili drank the remaining half glass of red wine. After Jiang Feng and his men sat down, Shu Hu felt very aggrieved and said, Young Master Jiang, are you just going to let that guy go? He was too ruthless and killed Lao Zhang's little brother. This revenge must be avenged. Don't worry, I've already called someone. The people coming this time are very powerful. I don't think Hu Lili would dare to mess with them. When the time comes, we can do whatever we want. A hint of cruelty flashed across Jiang Feng's face. Who is so awesome? Shu Hu asked curiously. The second most important person in the Qianlong Society, Zhang Chao. His brother Zhang is here, isn't that a bit of a waste of talent? Shu Hu took a breath, and at the same time he didn't expect that Zhang Chao would take action for this matter. It seemed that young Master Jiang had spent a lot of money. I wish that guy would die soon. Isn't he a very good fighter? It just so happens that Zhang Chao likes fighting with masters the most. I think he will be very excited when the time comes. A hint of evil flashed across Jiang Feng's face. Eh? Isn't that Wan Xiaowen? She's here, and she's dressed so sexy tonight. Suddenly, a younger brother recognized Wan Xiaowen on the dance floor. That's right, he was the girl who took the initiative to kiss Lin Fan. I didn't expect this girl to be so pretty. You can't tell at all when she puts on clothes. Jiang Feng took a look and was also a little surprised. Wan Xiaowen is a little gangster girl on the streets of Jiangcheng. She takes on almost all kinds of odd jobs. She usually wears very tight clothes and you can't tell that she has such a good figure. Working part-time on the dance floor tonight, she really showed off her nice figure. Damn it, she spent 10,000 yuan last time, but it failed in the end, and she was humiliated by that guy Lin Fan. She is also responsible. Jiang Feng had no place to vent his anger just now, and happened to meet Wan Xiaowen. When he thought about the fact that he had paid money but the matter had no effect, he said, since she has taken the money, she has to give something back. Jiang Feng showed an evil look on his face and said, "Brothers, cooperate with me. I want this girl. Receive." Several of the younger brothers also had evil smiles on their faces. In the dance floor, after what happened just now, everyone started to dance to their heart's content again. As the dancers in the dance floor tonight, they naturally continue to dance in front of the customers. Wan Xiaowen is only a part-time worker at Jiangcheng Bar. She comes twice a week and it is her turn today. She is just dancing here, selling her art and not her body. She was dancing to the music when suddenly someone hugged her from behind, and then started to touch her in various ways, while laughing and saying, "Wow, I didn't realize you're so sexy, Wan Xiaowen." Wan Xiaowen had never been molested like this before, and was shocked. She struggled to get out of the embrace and took a few steps back. Seeing that it was Jiang Feng, she said, "Mr. Jiang, what are you doing?" "I'm just dancing, not doing anything else. If you want to cuddle with me, go find the sisters over there. I sell my art, not my body." "Har har, you're even a dancer, and you still tell me that you only sell your art and not your body. You're playing both sides." Jiang Feng is angry now. He can't get Tang Yinro and can't get Hu Lili. Now he can't even get a little girl. Where is his face? "I like you. Stay with me tonight. Dance with me now. I'll take you to a hotel room later. You took my money before but didn't get the desired effect. This is your compensation to me." After Jiang Feng said this, he pounced on him again. Wan Xiaowen got so anxious that she slapped Jiang Feng in the face. This slap stunned the entire dance floor. The tuner also knew something was wrong and quickly paused the music. Everyone looked towards the dance floor and rushed forward to surround the crowd, knowing that something interesting was about to happen. "You stinky bitch, how dare you hit me?" Jiang Feng was extremely angry and fuming. It would be fine if Hu Lili scolded him, but if he was beaten by a little gangster girl and not punished at all, he would have no place to stand in Jiangcheng anymore. "I'm sorry, Mr. Jiang. I didn't mean it. Just now." But before Wan Xiaowen could finish her explanation, Jiang Feng slapped her in the face. The young face immediately became red and swollen, and blood oozed from the corners of the mouth. The other dancers wanted to help, but they didn't dare to step forward. They could only hope that the boss would step in. "I'm sorry, Mr. Jiang, I didn't mean it, please forgive me." Wan Xiaowen knew that she couldn't afford to offend someone like Jiang Feng, so she could only admit her mistake. "Okay, I'll give you a chance to forgive you. Take off all your clothes now, and then let me have some fun in front of everyone, and I'll let you go." Jiang Feng sneered. Chapter 14. Wan Xiaowen asks for help. Take it off quickly." Jiang Feng's younger brothers started to make a fuss. The women thought Jiang Feng was going too far and it was too insulting. Hu Lili also frowned. This Jiang Feng was not only excessive, but also insulting to women. Just when she was about to say something to Lin Fan, she suddenly found that this guy had left without knowing when. Plop. Wan Xiaowen was so scared that she knelt on the ground without caring about her dignity and begged, "Master Jiang, I kowtow to you, please let me go." "Say it again, do you want to take it off?" Jiang Feng sneered again. Wan Xiaowen shook her head and trembled all over. She knew that if she didn't obey, she would be beaten up by this group of people, or even worse. Sure enough, Jiang Feng suddenly ordered, "Brothers, catch her and take her off. I'm going to perform." "Okay, Mr. Jiang." Those younger brothers stepped forward and grabbed Wan Xiaowen. Wan Xiaowen's face turned pale. She knew something was going to happen. Jiang Feng was omnipotent in Jiangcheng, let alone in this hotel. "Master Jiang, what are you going to do?" Suddenly a voice was heard, and the bar owner Zhang Bie appeared again. Wan Xiaowen finally breathed a sigh of relief and quickly turned to Zhang Bie for help. "Boss, save me." "Zhang Bie, I've already given you face once. I hope you won't intervene. You know that Zhang Chao and I are friends. Do you think Qian Baiwan should help me or you?" Jiang Feng glared at Zhang Bie. Zhang Bie took a deep breath. He naturally knew that the Jiang family had a close relationship with the Qianlong society. If he really broke off relations with Jiang Feng, it would be very disadvantageous to him. Zhang Ba had no choice but to turn around and leave. Seeing this, Wan Xiaowen felt somewhat desperate, as if her last straw of life had been broken. She just collapsed and sat on the ground. Take off her clothes for me. I don't believe that anyone can stop me from playing with this little girl tonight. Damn it, I, Jiang Feng, will leave it all out here. Whoever dares to stop me will die. Jiang Feng roared domineeringly. But just as he finished speaking, a figure flashed past him, and before he could react, Lin Fan pulled Wan Xiaowen up from the ground. You kissed me today, but you have to be responsible. Lin Fan said calmly. Wan Xiaowen, who was already in despair, looked up suddenly when she heard the familiar voice. Seeing that it was the man she kissed in the afternoon, her face immediately turned red and she said, I'm sorry, I just wanted to make some extra money, so. What's the use of saying sorry? Now I want to ask you, what will you do if you kiss me? Lin Fan asked. Wan Xiaowen was a little confused by Lin Fan's question. Kiss me and you're my woman. Come home with me. Lin Fan held Wan Xiaowen's hand and walked past Jiang Feng. Everyone was stunned, not knowing what was going on. After the two men took a few steps, Jiang Feng and his men finally reacted. Stop them! Jiang Feng shouted. More than a dozen people blocked Lin Fan and Wan Xiaowen's way at once. Wang Xiaowen was so scared that she quickly hid behind Jiang Feng, her body trembling. She whispered, Handsome guy, save me. Seeing this, Hu Lili walked over in her high heels and said coldly, Mr. Jiang, what do you want to do? You think you are capable of bullying an unarmed girl, right? Seeing Hu Lili interfering again, Jiang Feng couldn't help but scold, Hu Lili, don't go too far. I, Jiang Feng, am also a well-known figure in Jiangcheng. Give me some face. I can ignore that man, but I want this woman tonight. Har har, may I ask, are you some big shot? Why should I give you face? Hu Lili sneered. Just as he finished speaking, a voice came from behind, Ms. Hu, I wonder if my reputation is big enough. Hearing this, everyone looked towards the source of the sound, and saw a mature man in his mid-30s, with a sturdy build, and beard on his temples and chin, which made him look very manly. He was wearing a suit and black leather shoes, followed by 20 or 30 people. He was striding towards them with extraordinary temperament and domineering aura. It's the second in command of the Qianlong Society. Why is he here too? Someone recognized Zhang Chao. Everyone took a few steps back. He was the number 2 figure in the Qianlong Society, the most powerful underground force in Jiangcheng. Who would dare to offend him? Hu Lili also frowned slightly, obviously not expecting that the second in command of the Qianlong Society would appear here. Har har har, brother Zhang, you're finally here. Jiang Feng became complacent when he saw Zhang Chao. He quickly walked forward to greet him, looking in Lin Fan's direction as he walked, with a look of mockery on his face. It seems to be saying, my people are here, so be prepared to be tortured. However, Lin Fan was not afraid at all. It's over, it's over. Wan Xiaowen was nervous. Jiang Shao was already difficult to deal with, and now the second in command of the Qianlong Society had arrived. She was doomed. You are the second in command of the Qianlong Society, right? I don't care who you are. I want to protect these two people tonight. If you have any problems, come to Shueyue Villa to find me. After Hu Lili finished speaking, she motioned Lin Fan and the other two to leave with her. This Zhang Chao was not someone you would want to mess with. Etc. But Zhang Chao suddenly said in a cold voice, I was wondering who it was. Even young Master Jiang didn't give him face. It turns out that he is from Shueyue Villa. Wow tilde. The onlookers were in an uproar. After knowing Hu Lili for such a long time, this girl revealed her identity for the first time, and she turned out to be from the famous Shueyue Villa. Shueyue Villa is also very famous in Jiangcheng. More than 1/3 of the economic industries in the entire Jiangcheng are controlled by Shueyue Villa. It is no exaggeration to say that it is the economic leader of Jiangcheng. But in the final analysis, we are just doing business, which is completely different from the nature of the Qianlong Society. Hiss, this girl is actually from Shueyue Villa. Jiang Feng was obviously a little surprised as well. So, you don't intend to offend our Shueyue Villa, right? Then I'll take the person away. Hu Lili grabbed Lin Fan's hand and prepared to leave. Wait. However, as soon as Hu Lili took a step, she was blocked by dozens of people. Then Zhang Chao raised the corner of his mouth slightly and said, "Yes, I don't intend to offend Xueyue Viller, but you are not Feng Xueyue. I think it shouldn't be a big problem to offend you." You? Hu Lili was so angry that the front of her face was undulating. Although she was a good fighter, there were nearly 30 people from the Qianlong society, and they all seemed to be well prepared. It was impossible for her to escape unscathed. "Everyone listen up, I have decided to take down these two people tonight. Anyone who wants to help them is going against me, Zhang Chao, and will bear the consequences at their own risk." Zhang Chao said domineeringly. "Brother, it seems that I can't save you this time. You should find a chance to rush out and save your life later. The people of the Qianlong society are very cruel." Hu Lili reminded in a low voice. Lin Fan smiled, but did not lower his voice. Instead, he said loudly, "Sister Fox, you have helped me enough. Leave the rest to me." Har har har, this country bumpkin is still acting. Who does he think he is? Leave the rest to him. It's hilarious. He knows a few tricks of kung fu and really thinks he is invincible. After Jiang Feng finished speaking, he waved his hand fiercely and said, "Brother Zhang is here, you guys can fight to the death, I will be responsible if anything goes wrong." Yes. Jiang Feng's dozen or so men, including members of the Qianlong society, became unscrupulous and rushed towards Lin Fan together. Chapter 15, Jiang Feng wasted. Hu Lili was about to help, but was stopped by Jiang Feng. He smiled and said, "Sister Fox, help me protect this sister. Leave the rest to me. Are you okay?" Hu Lili was a little worried. After all, having great strength and quick reactions does not necessarily mean being strong in actual combat. "Men, you can't say no." Lin Fan smiled evilly. Ahem. Hu Lili was choked by Lin Fan's words, and then laughed. "It seems that I underestimated my brother, let me experience it later." At this time, more than a dozen people rushed up waving their fists and feet. Lin Fan's figure flashed out, and then there was a burst of crackling noises. In less than 5 seconds, Jiang Feng's dozen men all lay on the ground, unable to get up due to the pain. Everyone was stunned. Few people could see clearly what had just happened. Jiang Feng was so scared that he took several steps back, unable to believe what he saw. "Brother Xiaofan, you are awesome." After being surprised, Hu Lili immediately gave a thumbs up. Zhang Chao frowned slightly, knowing that he had met an expert, but he had already said something harsh. If he backed down now, he would have no authority in Jiangcheng City in the future. So, he gritted his teeth and said, "Brothers, tear this guy apart." More than 30 thugs from the Qianlong society have been eager to try. These people all carried weapons with them. After hearing the order, they pulled out steel pipes and daggers and rushed towards Lin Fan like wolves and tigers. This scene frightened both Hu Lili and Wan Xiaowen. She could deal with 3 or 5 people with knives, but such a large group of people would be difficult for even the owner of the manor, Feng Xueyue, to handle. The onlookers were so scared that they hid everywhere, fearing that they would be affected. Faced with this group of murderous guys, Lin Fan had no intention of playing with them slowly, but rushed towards them. A powerful aura was like a sharp knife, clearing a path 2 meters in front of him. The opponent was knocked away as soon as he touched it, but Lin Fan went straight to the heart of the matter and grabbed Zhang Chao's neck. This trick again. Zhang Wei, who had witnessed Lin Fan's power before, took a deep breath. The reason was that Lin Fan could handle someone of his level, but he didn't expect that he could deal with the second in command of the Qianlong society so easily. By the time others reacted, Zhang Chao's face had turned red, he was having trouble breathing, and started coughing violently. At this moment, he was stunned. "You, who are you?" Zhang Chao began to get scared. The arrogance he had just had disappeared and his body began to tremble. Lin Fan's eyes were filled with murderous intent at this moment. That cold aura was not something that an ordinary person could emit. Zhang Chao initially believed that this person might be a killer. And he's a very scary killer. "Everyone who knew my identity is dead. Are you sure you want to know?" Lin Fan said calmly. No. I don't want to know," Zhang Chao said as he left. "This guy is so terrifying." He was unharmed despite being besieged by dozens of people. He was able to strike directly at the enemy's heart, leaving him no time to react. I guess no one can deal with him except the eldest brother Zhao Qianlong. I have no grudge against you, and I don't want to hurt you, but I hope you can be more sensible and take your people away immediately, otherwise. Lin Fan suddenly turned his head and looked at the people from the Qianlong society. Sweeping under Lin Fan's cold gaze, dozens of people from the Qianlong society couldn't help but tremble. You know, this man was able to capture the second in command right under their noses, which was not something they could handle. Okay, I'll take everyone away immediately. Zhang Chao is a smart man. A wise man never suffers a loss in front of him. Lin Fan let go of Zhang Chao's neck, and then he took a deep breath, still feeling a little scared. Brother Zhang, please don't leave. If you leave, what will I do? Seeing this, Jiang Feng was so scared that his legs went weak. The information he had found out clearly was that Lin Fan was a poor loser from a mountainous area near Qianling Mountain, but he didn't expect him to be so good at fighting. Even Zhang Chao, the second in command of the Qianlong society, was no match for him. If you want to die, don't drag me into this. Zhang Chao was speechless. He had finally managed to survive from this guy's clutches, but this guy actually wanted to drag him down with him. He glared at Jiang Feng fiercely and left with everyone. Soon, the bar calmed down again. Plop. Jiang Feng knelt on the ground, and his two trusted brothers Jiang Guai and Shu Hu also knelt down. Brother Lin, I was blind and didn't recognize the great man. I apologize to you and Wan Xiaowen. If you let me go, I will send you the 100 million order from Jinfeng Group to show my sincerity to you. In order to get rid of Lin Fan, Jiang Feng did everything he could, including lying. As long as he could leave here, he wouldn't need to be afraid of Lin Fan. Lin Fan can fight, right? Dad knows a lot of people who can fight, even ancient warriors. But he doesn't believe it. Can Lin Fan beat an ancient warrior? However, Lin Fan was not moved at all. He stepped forward and said coldly, last time you sent people to beat me up, I haven't settled the score with you yet. Later, you sent people to slander me and destroy my reputation. I endured it. But if I didn't have some ability today, I'm afraid I wouldn't survive tonight. You want me to spare you now? Upon hearing this, Jiang Feng was so scared that his whole body was shaking. He kowtowed several times and begged, it's my fault. I admit my mistake. I'll give you any compensation you want as long as you let me go. Compensation. Lin Fan sneered and suddenly kicked out. Jiang Feng was knocked over on the spot, and the back of his head hit the ground, his head buzzing. You've been trying to steal my wife Tang Yanro all day, and now you want to insult my woman on the spot. I'm going to cripple your little brother and see how you can play in the future. After saying that, Lin Fan kicked Jiang Feng in the balls. There was a snapping sound, and the sound of an egg breaking was heard again. Jiang Feng slid 3 or 4 meters on the floor and then stopped. R-tilde. Jiang Feng covered his lower body, feeling extremely painful. Blood began to seep out of his crotch. He guessed that thing had been destroyed. Shu Hu and Zhang Wei were so frightened that they collapsed to the ground. They didn't expect that the guy who usually laughed and joked could be so cruel when he started fighting. All of a sudden, Jiang family's men felt a chill down their spines and were terrified. His brother Xiaofan is too cruel. As a woman, Hu Lili couldn't help but feel a sour sensation down there. This guy was too strong. Those people in the bar who had laughed at Lin Fan before were also very scared. They were afraid that Lin Fan would remember to punish them later, so they ran away in a hurry. Jiang Feng, I crippled you this time because of you. If you dare to come and settle the score with me, next time I will not only cripple your third leg. Lin Fan warned. He cannot kill people when he first arrives in the city. After all, he is now Tang Yanro's legal husband. After killing someone, even if he can escape, he will implicate the Tang family. He didn't want to owe that little girl a favor. Jiang Feng gritted his teeth, he endured the pain and didn't dare to say anything. Get out of here. Lin Fan shouted loudly. Those members of the Jiang family who were originally lying on the ground were instantly revived with full health, and they carried Jiang Feng away in a panic. Life was the most important thing, so getting injured was nothing. Just as the group of people ran a few steps, a roar suddenly came from the door. Who is so arrogant and dares to cause trouble for my son? Chapter 16 Xuanwu. Immediately afterwards, a middle-aged man, accompanied by 7 or 8 strong men, walked in. He saw his son being carried out from a distance and his eyes widened. Hearing his father's voice, Jiang Feng cried out in grievance, "Dad, it's Lin Fan, Tang Yanro's husband. He ruined my private parts." Jiang Guai took a few steps forward, checked, and found blood all over his son's lower body. He immediately became extremely angry. "Asshole, I don't care who he is, he must die tonight." Jiang Guai walked into the bar angrily, stretched out his hand and asked several bodyguards to follow him. As Jiang Guai walked, he took out a black pistol from his pocket. After receiving a call from his servant and learning that his son had invited Zhang Chao from the Qianlong Society, he knew something might happen, so when he went out, he took a pistol with him just in case. Unexpectedly, he actually made a sound. He has only one son, and now he has been abandoned by someone. He has to avenge this vengeance. Soon, Jiang Guai saw Lin Fan. "You little brat, you're the one who hurt my son like that." Jiang Guai's voice was trembling, his eyes were bloodshot, and he was obviously extremely angry. "Yes, I hurt him, but he deserved it," Lin Fan said calmly. "You deserve it." Jiang Guai suddenly raised his gun and pointed it at Lin Fan. When everyone saw this, they immediately screamed and hid again. They didn't expect that Mr. Jiang was carrying a gun. It was really scary. Lin Fan raised his right hand slightly, ready to attack. Suddenly, a figure stood in front of him, which surprised him a little. That figure was Hu Lili, a woman he had only met once, who actually dared to take a bullet for him. That could lead to death at any time. "Jiang Guai, do you recognize me? For Feng Shuiyue's sake, spare his life. As for your son's injury, I will find someone to help heal him," Hu Lili pleaded. "So it's you, Feng Shuiyue's best friend." Jiang Guai obviously recognized him. He was also a little surprised. He didn't expect such a person to appear in the bar. And looking at the way she was dressed, she was completely different from the dignified and business-minded woman I met at the beginning. HMPH, even if Feng Shuiyue came, I would not necessarily give her this face. Now my son is disabled. How can such a vulnerable part be so easily healed after being severely injured? Jiang Guai gritted his teeth and said, "I don't want to go against Shuiyue Viller, but my son is injured like this, no one can help." "Then kill me first," Hu Lili said coldly. Exuding an aura of dominance, she stood in front of the black muzzle of a gun without any fear. Lin Fan began to look at this woman with admiration. At first, he thought she was just a flirtatious woman who liked to tease men, but he didn't expect that this girl's identity was not that simple. Even Master Jiang had to give her face. "Ms. Hu, what is your relationship with him?" "As far as I know, this guy is just a country boy from another place. He has nothing to do with your Fengshui mountain villa. But you are willing to die for him. I really can't understand." Jiang Guai asked his question. "The reason is simple. Because he called me sister, I took it seriously. You should also know that I am very protective of my people," Hu Lili said firmly. "You?" Jiang Guai knew that this was just an excuse made up by Hu Lili, who wanted to suppress him through Shuiyue Viller. However, their Jiang family has a very good relationship with the Qianlong Society. No matter how powerful Shuiyue Viller is, it is only in business. He has no need to be afraid of it. "Ms. Hu, are you sure you want to go against me?" Jiang Guai confirmed again. "If you think so, then so be it." Hu Lili was sure that Jiang Guai would not dare to shoot him. "Har har, that depends on whether you have the ability to stop me." After Jiang Guai finished speaking, he snapped his fingers, and the two bodyguards behind him suddenly moved aside and split into two groups. They pulled out their guns at the same time, and pointed the three guns at Lin Fan's position. Crash tilde. Everyone exclaimed again. They didn't expect that Jiang Guai's men also had guns. "As long as Miss Hu is fine, Shuiyue Viller can't do anything to me, right?" Jiang Guai smiled wickedly and raised his hand, ready to make a shooting gesture. Wan Xiaowen, who was next to Lin Fan, closed her eyes in fear. She was also afraid of being shot. Lin Fan held her hand and secretly practiced his mental skills, preparing to dodge. "Asshole!" Hu Lili had no choice. She could only protect one direction and was unable to stop the other party from shooting Lin Fan. "Lin Fan is dead this time." Just when everyone thought so, a voice suddenly resounded throughout the bar hall. "Stop it, put the gun down." A voice came from the door. After a few breaths, a middle-aged man appeared in front of everyone. Seeing this middle-aged man, Jiang Guai's eyes were red with anger and he asked excitedly, "Brother Zhu, what brings you here?" The others obviously didn't know who the middle-aged man was, but Lin Fan recognized him. This middle-aged man was the man next to the old man he saw when he passed by the park in the afternoon. After Zhu Wu took a quick glance to confirm Lin Fan, he said calmly, "I'll invite someone." Hiring someone. Jiang Guai was stunned, and took a glance at the place. It seemed that there were not many people who could make Zhu Wu come forward, so he thought it was him, and immediately said with a smile, "Brother Zhu, if you have anything to say, just tell me directly. You don't need to come to me in person. How can I be so worthy of that?" Now it was Zhu Wu's turn to be stunned, and then he said coldly, "Why am I looking for you?" "Xuan Wu asked me to invite a master to be my guest." Xuan Wu? Hearing this name, Jiang Guai took a breath. He was a top figure in Jiangcheng City. It was no exaggeration to say that he could cover the sky with one hand. But he immediately became confused again. Who was the master here that could make Xuan Wu condescend to send someone to invite him? He glanced around again, and finally his eyes fell on Hu Lili. Among them, apart from him, Hu Lili is the only one who has this possibility. But it seems that with Xuan Wu's identity, if he wanted to invite Hu Lili, he could just call Feng Shueyue directly, and this girl would not dare to refuse. Why come to the bar? Just when Jiang Guai was daydreaming, Zhu Wu took a step towards Hu Lili's direction. Jiang Guai immediately thought that he was really looking for Hu Lili. But the next moment, Zhu Wu said calmly, "Miss, can you give way for a moment?" Hu Lili was also a little confused. She had just thought that it was possible that someone might be looking for her. After all, apart from Jiang Guai, she had the highest status among them. But they are not looking for her. How could Hu Lili dare to offend Xuan Wu? In Jiangcheng, Xuan Wu is the sky. Shueyue Viller may not be afraid of anyone, but it is wary of Chen Xian. Hu Lili quickly moved aside, revealing Lin Fan behind her. "Xiao Lin, we meet again." Zhu Wu walked up to Lin Fan and smiled at him. He originally wanted to take action, but it was a bit difficult to do so in a place like this with a little girl and facing 3 guns. Now someone has come to the rescue, it might be nice to use it. So Lin Fan nodded and said, "Uncle Zhu, you're looking for me." The last time he was in the park, he heard the old man call Zhu Wu's name. "Well, my boss wants to see you. I wonder if you are free to come over?" Zhu Wu asked with great respect. "Now, I guess I can't. Look, there are 3 guns pointed at me. Master Jiang wants to kill me." Lin Fan looked at the 3 men holding guns. Chapter 17. The Jiang family suffered a loss. Zhu Wu suddenly raised his head, and his sharp eyes immediately swept over the 3 people. Jiang Guai was startled and quickly signaled to put away the gun. He saw a terrible murderous intent in Zhu Wu's eyes. Zhu Wu is Xuan Wu's strongest bodyguard, the former underground king of Jiangcheng, a feared existence, and his strongest bodyguard is also an absolutely ruthless character. How dare he provoke? "Boss Jiang, are you going to kill Xuan Wu's friends?" Zhu Wu asked in an interrogative tone. Jiang Guai quickly explained, "It's like this, Brother Zhu, Lin Fan destroyed my son's lower body. I was so angry that I wanted to seek revenge on him, so I wanted to kill him." "Isn't your son fine?" "He's not dead." "Why did you kill him?" Zhu Wu asked back. This question left Jiang Guai speechless. Indeed, if his son was not dead, why would he kill anyone or seek revenge? "But he ruined my son, You want to kill Xuan Wu's friends, right?" Zhu Wu asked again. "He is Xuan Wu's friend." Jiang Guai reacted. "Well, Boss Xuan Wu asked me to come over and invite him to be his guest. If you want to kill him, you can, but kill me first. Otherwise, I will take him away." Zhu Wu Dao. His tilde. Jiang Guai took a deep breath. The people invited by Xuan Wu were basically all the influential figures in Jiangcheng. They were able to make their whole Jiangcheng tremble with just a stomp of their feet. But this Lin Fan is so young, how could he be Xuan Wu's friend? Could it be that this guy is hiding his identity? Are you doubting what I said? Seeing that Jiang Guai was slow to speak, Zhu Wu looked unhappy and said, "If you don't believe me, I can call my master now and you can listen." No, Brother Zhu, you are too serious. I will naturally believe you." Jiang Guai replied hurriedly. Zhu Wu is Xuan Wu's strongest bodyguard. The person he personally went to pick up must be no ordinary person. Okay, I'm going to take Mr. Lin away. If you're not convinced, go talk to Xuanwu then. Zhu Wu said coldly. I dare not. Jiang Guai lowered his head, bowed and said, since Lin Fan is Xuanwu's friend, go ahead and take him away. Well, besides, if you want to cause trouble for him in the future, you'd better think twice. Otherwise, if he makes any mistake, you're Jiang family. Zhu Wu did not continue speaking, but the tone at the end made Jiang Guai tremble all over. He knew what Zhu Wu meant. Once Xuanwu was provoked, the Jiang family would immediately disappear from Jiangcheng. Don't worry, from now on, I won't cause any trouble to Lin Fan anymore. Jiang Guai assured. That's great. Zhu Wu smiled with satisfaction, looked at Lin Fan again, and said, Xiao Lin, come with me, okay? Certainly. Lin Fan was able to escape and was too lazy to dwell on it. He took Wan Xiaowen's hand and led her away. When he passed by Hu Lily, he stopped and said to her, Sister Fox, thank you for being willing to take the bullet for me. I'm very touched. I'll treat you to dinner another day. Okay, sister is waiting for you. If you miss me, come to Shueyue Villa to find me. Just tell me your name. Hu Lily threw a wink. Lin Fan couldn't stand this girl anymore. She would flirt with him as soon as he relaxed and was thinking about teasing him all the time. Lin Fan did not delay and followed Zhu Wu away. After Lin Fan left, Jiang Feng came to his senses and asked in confusion, Father, why did you let Lin Fan go? He crippled my little brother, so you shot him to death. Just shut up, you bastard. Jiang Guai glared at Jiang Feng fiercely and said in a low voice, do you know who that person was just now? Who is it? Jiang Feng obviously had not reached that level, so it was natural that he did not know Zhu Wu's identity. Xuanwu's personal bodyguard. Jiang Guai rode. Xuanwu. Jiang Feng was stunned for a moment, then he thought of something, widened his eyes, and said, Dad, are you talking about the terrifying existence in Jiangcheng's underground world? Well, in Jiangcheng, Xuanwu is still a heaven-like existence. If we offend him, our Jiang family will disappear in Jiangcheng. Now you know why I let Lin Fan go, right? Jiang Guai rode. Jiang Feng took a deep breath, still feeling frightened. Outside. After getting in the car, Lin Fan looked at Zhu Wu and said, Uncle Zhu, can you give my friend a ride later? Where does she live? Zhu Wu asked back. West City, it's a bit far. Lin Fan smiled bitterly. Hearing this, Wan Xiaowen looked at Lin Fan in surprise. She had only met him twice today. How did this guy know where she lived? Okay, but after I send you off, let others send her back. Don't worry, those people are trustworthy and there won't be any problems. Zhu Wu explained. Thanks. Lin Fan said. Although he didn't know who Xuanwu was, he knew it should be the old man. He had saved the old man's granddaughter, so he wouldn't want to harm him. Everyone remained silent along their way. Wan Xiaowen looked up at Lin Fan from time to time. She had so many questions to ask, but she didn't dare to when she thought of Lin Fan's amazing performance in the bar. Are you wondering why I helped you? Lin Fan saw through Wan Xiaowen's thoughts and asked. Wan Xiaowen nodded, then her pretty face blushed slightly, thinking that Lin Fan was attracted by her beauty, and whispered, you want me to be your lover, do you? But the next moment, Lin Fan said, you think too much, I just want to beat you up. Puff tilde. Zhu Wu, who was driving, couldn't help but burst out laughing. Wan Xiaowen was stunned. Back then, I almost got myself into trouble by joining forces with young Master Jiang. Do you think I should be beaten? Lin Fan asked back. I am just forced by life. Otherwise, I will compensate you later. I will give you money. Wan Xiaowen was indeed a little afraid of Lin Fan. This guy was too cruel. He destroyed all the descendants of the Jiang family with just one kick. She felt scared just thinking about it. Okay, I'll come find you in a couple of days. Lin Fan said. Originally, he wanted to ask where the jade pendant on Wan Xiaowen came from, but it was not convenient in the car now. He could not completely trust Zhu Wu yet, so he had to be on guard. Oh. Wan Xiaowen breathed a sigh of relief. The car arrived at the destination in less than 10 minutes. This place is called Jiangcheng Mountain Villa Area. This villa area is right next to a wealthy community. No wonder the old man said it was almost the same when he heard him say that the park was his wife's home. The Jiangcheng Mountain Villa district is a high mountain in the center of Jiangcheng City, with an altitude of 600 meters. There is a huge mountain spring on it that provides cool pool water all year round. Therefore it is called Jiangcheng. This place has beautiful scenery and pleasant views. It is a well-known top wealthy area. Only the top dignitaries in Jiangcheng are qualified to live here. Ordinary people cannot buy it even if they have money. After getting off the car, Zhu Wu made a phone call, and a Mercedes-Benz drove over and took Wan Xiaowen away. Okay, Uncle Zhu, let's talk about Xuanwu. Is he the old man? Seeing that there was no one around, Lin Fan asked directly. Yes, he is my boss, Chen Xian, codenamed Xuanwu. Zhu Wu told the truth. I see. As he drove inside, Lin Fan looked at the man in front of him. This guy had an extraordinary temperament and was definitely not an ordinary person, so he asked, Uncle Zhu, are you a warrior? Zhu Wu was obviously a little surprised, but he immediately let it go. Lin Fan was able to cripple Jiang Guai's son, which showed that he was not an ordinary person. So he said, it seems that Xuanwu was right. You are really amazing. You can even tell at a glance that I am a warrior. I guess you are also a warrior, right? I am not. Lin Fan waved his hands. He was not lying. He was not a warrior. Chapter 18 A Murderous Chess Game. Har har, Xiaolin, you are joking. Zhu Wu thought that Lin Fan just didn't want to expose his identity as a warrior, and he didn't worry about it. After all, in this society, there are many people who like to keep a low profile, just like Xuanwu now. Soon, the car stopped at the door of a special villa on the top of the mountain. Two security guards hurried forward to open the door, and an ancient villa appeared in Lin Fan's eyes. Lin Fan had seen many ancient buildings, because there were many ancient buildings on the Qianling mountain, but it was rare to see this kind of ancient-style villa in a big city. Xiaolin, we're here, let's get off. After parking the car in the courtyard, Zhu Wu got out and opened the door for Lin Fan very respectfully. Lin Fan didn't hesitate and walked out directly. At this time, he was greeted by two guards. Each of these guards was tall and strong, with extremely sharp eyes. However, compared with Zhu Wu, he is still far inferior. They both said in unison, Brother Zhu. Zhu Wu nodded, pointed at Lin Fan and introduced him, Lin Fan, he is the guest invited by Xuanwu. The two men immediately stepped aside. Then, Zhu Wu led Lin Fan to continue walking inside, along a section of pavilions, a small bridge and flowing water, and then through a confusing area, and finally they saw a pavilion in a secluded and winding path. There is a chess board in the gazebo. Two people are playing chess at this moment. Oh, Grandpa, you won again, can't you just give me some leniency? A girl pursed her lips. She seemed to sense someone approaching, and turned around suddenly, seeing Zhu Wu walking over with a young man. She immediately scolded, Uncle Zhu, this is the exclusive area for me and my grandfather. No one except you can come in. Why did you bring an outsider here, and a young boy at that? Little girl, be careful with your words. Lin Fan looked at the girl, who was about 21 or 22 years old, 2 or 3 years younger than him, with her hair tied in 2 ponytails, a chubby face, delicate features, and beautiful eyes and eyebrows, which made her look quite cute. But Lin Fan couldn't praise his personality. Humph, you still dare to talk back, I'll teach you a lesson. The woman jumped out of the pavilion, ready to attack Lin Fan. Don't be rude. However, at this moment, Xuanwu spoke up, he is the friend I invited. Lin Fan quickly apologized to him. Friend. Chen Yi was stunned, her brows slightly frowned, obviously not quite believing it. All of my grandfather's previous friends were elderly top dignitaries. This guy looks to be 23 or 24. How come he is friends with him? Yes, apologized to Xiaolin quickly. Xuanwu said again. That's all. Lin Fan raised his hand. Although the girl had a bad temper, Xuanwu's attitude was still very good. Lin Fan walked past Chen Yi without even glancing at her, then came to the pavilion and bowed to Xuanwu, saying, Greetings, Mr. Chen. It seems that Zhu Wu has told you everything. Xuanwu smiled and said, Sit down. My granddaughter Yi was ignorant and talked back to you. I apologize on her behalf. You're welcome. Since she's Mr. Chen's granddaughter, forget it. Lin Fan looked nonchalant, then glanced at the chessboard. This was the same game as before. Judging from the direction of the chess pieces, their whole game was filled with murderous intent, with every step being a killing spree, leaving no way for survival. This is a good move, but... Lin Fan suddenly said. Just what? Xuanwu didn't expect that Lin Fan would watch the chess game, and he was a little curious. Too murderous. Wow. Xuanwu's gaze instantly focused on Lin Fan's face, and he exuded a domineering aura filled with murderous intent, which made people shudder. Seeing this, Zhu Wu hurried forward and reminded, Lin Fan, why don't you apologize to Xuanwu quickly? But Xuanwu immediately asked, I didn't expect that you also know how to play chess. I learned a little bit before. Lin Fan was extremely calm. Although Xuanwu is full of murderous intent, if you want to kill him, you will be seeking your own death. Har har, you are too modest. You can see the murderous intent in my chessboard. It is definitely not the level of a beginner. Tell me your opinion. Xuanwu's expression began to relax a little, but everyone who was familiar with him knew that this smile did not mean that he had calmed down, and it might have even worsened his anger. Lin Fan nodded and said calmly, if you were playing this game of chess with your enemy, foe, or even competitor, I don't think there would be anything wrong with this situation, but if I'm not mistaken, you were playing chess with your granddaughter just now. As the saying goes, even a tiger won't eat its own cubs. You still maintain such a fierce killing game, which proves one thing. You always treat everyone equally when playing chess. It may be that long-term experience has made you develop such a habit. Xuanwu stared into Lin Fan's eyes, with a cold aura in his eyes, like a mad lion fighting on the battlefield. The huge aura spread around, and the atmosphere became extremely solemn. Chen Yi and Zhu Wu were frightened to their core. No one had ever commented on Xuanwu like this before, but this guy actually said. Just when the atmosphere was frozen, Xuanwu suddenly laughed and said, you are really a master. Come on, let's play a game, how about it? Huh tilde. Chen Yi and Zhu Wu then breathed a sigh of relief. At this moment, their palms were already sweating. Lin Fan's clenched fists also loosened. In his opinion, no one except himself can be fully trusted. At least until now, he still knows nothing about this Xuanwu. No, maybe next time. Lin Fan refused directly, and then asked, I wonder what Mr. Chen wants me to come over for. There is indeed something that I need your help with. Xuanwu rode. Oh? You are such a powerful old man, and you ask a small person like me for help. I am flattered. Lin Fan said. Don't be so modest. Xuanwu continued, you saw that I had a hidden illness at the park, which shows that you are a skilled doctor. To be honest, I asked you to come here this time because I want you to help me treat my illness. I only have 3 months to live. His tilde. Lin Fan took a breath. He had just taken a quick look before and did not continue checking. He did not expect it to be so serious. Mr. Chen, you only have 3 months to live. Why don't you go to a big hospital to see a famous doctor, but go to a poor man like me who came from the mountains to see him? Isn't that a bit too much? Lin Fan asked tentatively. In fact, he felt a little regretful. People who say they only have 3 months to live must have reached the late stage of some disease, which makes it very difficult to treat. And it is very likely that the problem will not be solved. If people then blame him for the problem, he will just be asking for trouble. It is not worth it. Xiao Lin, don't be so modest. I know you can cure me. Xuanwu said with great certainty. Why do you say that? Lin Fan was a little curious. They had only met twice, so it was not realistic for him to trust him so much. Xuanwu began to explain, I have had this disease for nearly 10 years. During these 10 years, I visited famous doctors around the world and tried both Chinese and Western medicine. No one could tell at a glance that I was sick. But you not only saw it, but also said it was a very serious illness. This proves that you are an amazing doctor. I believe you can definitely cure me. Lin Fan knew that the old man was setting a trap for him. Don't worry, if you can cure my illness, or even get a big improvement, I will give you a huge reward. At the same time, you can walk around Jiangcheng freely in the future. Xuanwu added. How big a reward? When Lin Fan heard about giving money, his eyes lit up. Chapter 19. The reward is great. He thought that the old man was just using his power to force him to treat his illness and had no intention of giving him any benefits. But since he had money, that was different. It's okay to take some risks. The three of them were speechless for a while. After a long time, they realized that this guy was afraid that they would not pay. Har har har, it's huge. Xuanwu rode. At this time, Chenny couldn't help but speak out, "Hey kid, you should cure the disease first. As long as you cure his disease, you can have whatever you want." Lin Fan got angry when he saw this girl talking. But to be honest, this girl just doesn't speak very nicely, but her figure and face are quite good, especially her front, which is quite big, a few inches bigger than the fox sister I met in the bar. Estimated 36E. In order to vent his anger, Lin Fan deliberately said, "In addition to money, I have another request. If you agree, I can help your grandfather. TSK, if you can really cure my grandfather, I will agree to anything you ask." Chenny obviously didn't believe that Lin Fan had this ability, but she just didn't know why her grandfather trusted him so much. "You said so, I'll talk about it after I'm cured." Lin Fan smiled triumphantly, stood up, and came behind Xuanwu, saying, "Mr. Chen, let me check your body first." Xuanwu heard the conversation between the two and chuckled. If Lin Fan could really cure him, he would be the reincarnation of a miracle doctor. No matter how powerful or wealthy a family is, it is not as good as having a miracle doctor. After all, everyone is born, grows old, gets sick and dies. Having a miracle doctor around is like getting a chance to save your life. Therefore, no matter what conditions Lin Fan proposed at that time, he could accept them. "How do I check?" Xuanwu rode. "Just sit still." After Lin Fan finished speaking, he chanted a spell and a glowing bagua formation appeared in his right palm. He aimed at Xuanwu's crown and pressed lightly. A pure breath went from Xuanwu's crown directly to the soles of his feet, making his whole body cool and refreshed, as if he had been baptized with clean water. However, Lin Fan frowned because he couldn't find the source of Xuanwu's illness. It was very strange. There was clearly an aura of decay in Xuanwu's body, which should be caused by internal damage, and it was very serious, but his bagua medical skills could not detect it. "What happened? Have you found out the reason?" Seeing that Lin Fan was slow to speak, Xuanwu became extremely nervous. This was his only hope. If he couldn't even find the cause of the illness with this young man, his life would probably be over. "Don't worry." Lin Fan naturally sensed Xuanwu's nervousness and continued, still looking. "Well, Xiaolin, take your time and look carefully. I won't rush you." Xuanwu swallowed his saliva. He was really afraid of hearing Lin Fan answer that he couldn't find it. Chenny on the side didn't quite believe it. How could such a young boy have any medical skills? At the beginning, her grandfather had consulted many world medical masters, all of whom were in their 80s or 90s. Even the hospital's instruments couldn't find any problems. What abilities could he have? "Grandpa, do you really believe him? Why do I feel a little weird?" Seeing that Lin Fan just pressed on Grandpa's head a few times, seemingly not checking anything and not even taking his pulse, he didn't look like a medical doctor at all, so Chenny couldn't help but remind him. Shut up." Xuanwu looked up and glared at Chenny. He had finally persuaded Lin Fan to help him treat his illness. It would be troublesome if he was angered and left by this little girl. "Oh." Chenny pursed her lips, not daring to speak any more. She stood aside and muttered softly, If you can't cure it, I think you'll be in big trouble." Lin Fan ignored the girl, but retracted his right hand, and then performed the secret method of Chiman talisman technique. He used his right hand to trace on the palm of his left hand for a while, and a phantom of a talisman appeared in his palm. He then covered his eyes with it and wiped it. The next moment, Lin Fan's eyes turned purple. At the same time, Xuanwu's clothes began to become transparent, followed by his skin and muscles. Lin Fan used the Sky Eye talisman, which lasted for 3 minutes and had a perspective effect. He quickly searched the other person's body and suddenly locked onto one place. "It's actually a blood hair needle." Lin Fan took a deep breath. He had heard from his master that this kind of needle, once entering the body, could freely shuttle between blood vessels and any other part of the human body, specifically damaging meridians, and had a very strong concealment ability. Therefore, the examinations conducted by the hospital showed that everything was normal for the human body, but the human body was being harmed all the time. 3 blood hair needles appeared in Xuanwu's body. As for how the blood hair needle was inserted, even Xuanwu probably doesn't know, otherwise he wouldn't have been looking for medical treatment for 10 years. Found it. Lin Fan said. Real. Upon hearing this, Xuanwu's eyes widened in surprise. Are you sure? No. Lin Fan said calmly. TSK, then tell me, what's the disease? Chenny thought Lin Fan was talking nonsense, so she stood behind her grandfather and stared at him, and finally found the source of the disease. Do you think you are God? I can't explain it to you, but I can get rid of it. Lin Fan was too lazy to explain and said directly to Xuanwu, but, you need to cooperate with me, Mr. Chen. Tell me, how do you want me to cooperate? Xuanwu was already a little excited. He didn't think Lin Fan would dare to lie to him. Give me your hand and stand up straight. It may sting a little, so bear with it. Lin Fan said. Har har, I may not be good at other things over the years, but I am first rate at enduring pain. Just do it. Xuanwu smiled and stretched out his hand. Lin Fan did not delay and grabbed Xuanwu's right hand. He slashed it violently with his right hand. He heard a hiss sound of inhalation, and then a cut appeared on Xuanwu's wrist. Blood oozed out quickly and the scene was a bit scary. Lin Fan, what do you want to do? How dare you hurt my grandpa, you little bastard? Ju Wu and Chen Yi were eager to try and were about to take action, but Xuanwu raised his hand and said, Stop, don't disturb Xiaolin's treatment. The two of them then breathed a sigh of relief and did not continue fighting. Lin Fan ignored them and pinched the wound. While the X-ray vision was still there, he locked onto the specific locations of the 3 blood hair needles and exerted force suddenly. Xuanwu frowned. He felt a breath flowing in his body, and it all felt like it was coming towards his right palm. Adsorption to be exact. Ju Wu also frowned slightly. He originally thought that Lin Fan was using internal energy, but he could not feel any fluctuations in energy. At this time, Xuanwu felt as if his whole body was pricked by needles, but the location of the pain was constantly changing, as if several needles were running around in his body. After about a minute, the stinging suddenly disappeared. Lin Fan suddenly grabbed the wound and pulled hard, and 3 tiny things like fluff were pulled out. There are 3 in total. Hissed Tilder, what is this? Xuanwu looked at the 3 hair-like things with blood on them on the marble table and asked in surprise. Blood hair needle. Lin Fan said. What? The knowledgeable Xuanwu obviously recognized this thing. It was a very small hidden weapon. Once it entered the body, it was difficult to detect. He will slowly devour a person's life force, making them weaker day by day until their life is gone. No wonder no one could figure out the cause of his illness. Okay, I've completed what I promised you, and now start fulfilling what you promised me. Lin Fan is not a philanthropist. He wants payment for treating patients. Now that the task is completed, it is time to collect the money. Chapter 20. If you can beat Uncle Ju, I will be your girlfriend. Har har har, no problem. The root cause of Xuanwu's illness was eradicated, and he immediately felt refreshed. Perhaps it was because the psychological barriers were gone. In fact, he has not returned to normal so quickly, but it doesn't matter anymore. I plan to give you 100 million, plus 1% of the shares of Santiangshuan Group. How about that? Xuanwu laughed. Tianxian Group is not just a company in Jiangcheng, but one of the largest groups in the entire Jiangnan province. To be more precise, it is a consortium. Their headquarters is located in Jiangju, the provincial capital, and Jiangcheng is just a branch. However, Lin Fan obviously did not know what Tianxian Group was, and naturally did not know how much 3% of the shares would amount to. He just thought that this reward was not bad. After all, the medical expenses of 100 million were considered very high. Okay. Thank you. Lin Fan agreed immediately. Then, he looked at Chen Yi beside him. It seemed that this girl had promised him a condition. Originally, he didn't know what the condition was, but suddenly he had an idea. Half a year later, his fake marriage with Tang Yanro came to an end. At that time, they would go back to their respective homes and find their own mothers, and he would have to find a wife. Although he doesn't like Chen Yi's personality, she can be tamed. As long as she is tamed, she will be pretty good. The most important thing is that this girl has a big chest and a curvy body, and is easy to give birth to. Being suddenly stared at by Lin Fan with those lustful eyes made her feel uncomfortable all over and had a bad premonition. Sure enough, the next moment, Lin Fan said, "Ms. Chen, you seem to have promised me before that you would agree to whatever I asked for, right?" I did say that, but I don't agree with anything too extreme," Chen Yi said vigilantly. "Don't worry, the conditions I proposed are not excessive at all." Lin Fan paused and said, "Be my girlfriend. I will marry you in half a year." Wow tilde. When these words were spoken, Xuanwu and Ju Wu were both stunned. They did not expect that Lin Fan would propose such a condition, which made Chen Yi a little embarrassed. Chen Yi blushed and said hurriedly, "I don't agree." Lin Fan had known that the girl would refuse, but he had already thought of a way to deal with it. He looked at Xuanwu and said, "Mr. Chen, does your granddaughter have a boyfriend or is she married?" Xuanwu was stunned for a moment, then smiled and said, "Not yet." "Well, since she doesn't have a boyfriend and isn't engaged, she's beautiful and I'm talented, isn't that a good match?" "Isn't that too much to ask?" Lin Fan said. "I don't want to. I don't like you. Why should I be your girlfriend?" Chen Yi refused no matter what. "Excuse me, what is it that you don't like about me?" Lin Fan asked back. Chen Yi didn't expect Lin Fan to ask her this. This shameless guy actually dared to ask her this. But when Chen Yi wanted to blurt out Lin Fan's shortcomings, she found that this guy seemed to have no shortcomings. Say she's ugly. He is nearly 1.8 meters tall, has a good figure and is handsome. Say he is poor. It seems that he has earned 100 million now and owns 3% of the shares of Tang Shen Group. He is considered a half-rich man in Jiangcheng. Say he is incompetent. He can even cure my grandfather's terminal illness. His medical skills are amazing. As for saying that she is not good in that aspect, she has never tried it and doesn't know for sure. After thinking about it, Chen Yi suddenly remembered a shortcoming, that is kung fu. She has been practicing martial arts with her grandfather since she was a child, and now she has reached the level where she can fight 3 big men alone. Moreover, she had threatened before that if he wanted to find a husband in the future, he had to be able to beat her, otherwise there would be no deal. As for Lin Fan's physique, his lustful and nonchalant look, he must be a coward who just has better medical skills. So, she blurted out, "I don't like men who are weak in fighting and can't even protect their own women. I want a very strong man." "Oh? Then what does it mean to be strong?" Lin Fan asked back. Chen Yi originally wanted to say that anyone who could beat her was considered powerful. But think about it, she is a girl after all. What if this guy has practiced some kung fu and is stronger, and she defeats him accidentally? So, Chen Yi thought about finding a more powerful one. She looked at Ju Wu who was standing aside, and then said with a smile, "If you can defeat Uncle Ju, I will be your girlfriend." Ahem. That's too much. Hearing this, Xuanwu couldn't help but speak out. He knew Ju Wu's strength best. Even when he was young, it was very difficult to defeat Ju Wu within a few moves. Now, he would have to try his best to gain the advantage. And Lin Fan was a doctor, so even though he knew kung fu, he still had a few tricks for self-defense. To be honest, he also wanted Lin Fan to be his grandson-in-law. After all, their family had everything they needed except a miracle doctor who could ensure their whole family's health and longevity. "Grandpa, this is not your business. This is the agreement between him and me. If you get involved, I will regret it," Chen Yi warned. This. Xuanwu looked at Lin Fan with embarrassment. Lin Fan said indifferently, "You said that if I defeat Uncle Ju, you will be my girlfriend. I will marry you in half a year, and you can't regret it." Ju Wu knew what Xuanwu meant, so he deliberately lowered the difficulty and said, "How about this? If Xiao Lin is not defeated by me within 10 moves, I lose." Chen Yi was just about to say yes. But suddenly he heard Lin Fan say, "I only need 3 moves." "You are cheating, no, 3 moves are too few." Chen Yi quickly refused. "I mean, I can defeat Uncle Ju within 3 moves." Lin Fan said calmly. "What?" The 3 of them were stunned. Har har har, Xiao Lin, how about we think about it again?" After saying that, Xuanwu gave Lin Fan a look, telling him not to embarrass himself and to seize the opportunity. "Okay, you said it, don't regret it." When Chen Yi heard this, she immediately said excitedly, "Uncle Ju, you are not allowed to let me win. If I see that you are letting me win, it won't count." "Oh. Ju Wu didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He never expected Lin Fan to say that. It seemed that he knew he couldn't beat him and chose to give up. There was no way around it. Lin Fan had said it himself, so he could only carry out the agreement between the two. Ju Wu took the initiative to walk to an open space, stood there, and waited for Lin Fan. Xuanwu smiled but said nothing. Hey, kid, I gave you a chance. If you can't seize it, you can't blame me. Chen Yi was too proud of herself. You're going to be my girlfriend. You look so happy. It seems that women really don't mean what they say. You even said you don't like me. Lin Fan strode towards Ju Wu. TSK, you just keep talking nonsense. It will be hilarious when Uncle Ju beats you up. Chen Yi said proudly. She seemed to have seen the result. In the entire Jiangcheng, the only one who could defeat Ju Wu was probably her grandfather. Lin Fan came to Ju Wu. Ju Wu smiled bitterly and said, "You go first, or me." "All the same," Lin Fan said. Angered by Lin Fan's tone, Ju Wu also started to take it seriously. He lowered his body slightly. Since the other party had already given up, there was no need to waste time. Just deal with it in one move. Lin Fan probably didn't care anyway. Crash. After a few seconds of silence, Ju Wu suddenly jumped out, like a cheater looking for food, and took a step forward in an instant, as fast as the wind. In the blink of an eye, he rushed to Lin Fan, who was 4 meters away, intending to punch him in the lower abdomen and end the fight. Chapter 21 Powerful Martial Arts List. Just as the fist was about to hit Lin Fan, it was suddenly grabbed by a big hand. This big hand was like the hand of God. It appeared out of nowhere and grabbed him tightly. Ju Wu was obviously shocked. At the same time, he felt an unprecedented force flowing into his fist and quickly spreading throughout his body. A sharp pain radiated from his hand bones, making him feel a little weak. Ju Wu pulled hard, finally broke free, and launched an attack again. This time it was a leg attack. But just as he raised his leg, Lin Fan's figure approached quickly and hit him with his shoulder, knocking him back. Before he landed on the ground, Lin Fan flashed in front of him and grabbed his throat. The whole place was dead silent. You can hear a pin drop. After a long time, the sound of Xuanwu's applause was heard. Tilde. Well done. Lin Fan completely shocked him. Originally, Xuanwu only thought that Lin Fan was good at medicine, but he didn't expect that his combat power was also so terrifying. Even when he was young, he didn't dare to say that he could defeat Ju Wu within 3 moves. But Lin Fan did it. Ju Wu was even more frightened. He knew that if it was on a real battlefield, he would have already lost with the first move. I lost, I accept it sincerely. Ju Wu clasped his fists and said respectfully. He knew that Lin Fan was showing mercy because he didn't want him to lose at the first move, and he gave him enough face. Thank you. Lin Fan smiled and turned to look at Chen Yi. Chen Yi was stunned, and then her pretty face turned red. She hurriedly said, "Impossible, Uncle Ju, you must have let him go. This guy can't possibly. Our Chen family is willing to accept defeat. Your Uncle Ju never cheats. He respects every opponent." There was a hint of coldness on Xuanwu's face, and he looked extremely serious. Chen Yi took a deep breath, lowered her head, and said, "Okay, I lose. If you lose, then you are my girlfriend. I will marry you in half a year." Lin Fan said. Half a year later. The 3 of them were stunned, obviously not understanding, as they had not paid attention to this age limit before. Xuanwu asked curiously, "Xiao Lin, why does it take half a year?" "Well, I have some things that I haven't finished yet, so it will take half a year." Lin Fan found an excuse. He is Tang Yinrou's husband now. Even if it is fake, they have already obtained the marriage certificate, so it is unlikely that he will marry Chen Yi. Ju Wu apparently remembered something and whispered something in Xuanwu's ear. Xuanwu also understood and said with a smile, "Har har har, okay, then you deal with what needs to be dealt with, and then come directly to me, I will help you take care of everything." "Okay." Lin Fan agreed. Chen Yi lowered her head, her face reddened and she didn't dare look at Lin Fan, fearing that he might have other requests. For example, if we ask her to fulfill couple obligations today, such as hugging, kissing, lifting each other up, or even sleeping together, that would be so embarrassing. Fortunately, Lin Fan didn't seem to be paying attention to her, and Zhu Wu, under his grandfather's instructions, took Lin Fan to handle the transfer of funds and company equity. Afterwards, Zhu Wu drove Lin Fan back to the Tang family personally. On the way, Zhu Wu couldn't help but say, "Xiao Lin, your strength should have reached the Hua Jin level. It's rare. You have reached the Hua Jin level at such a young age. You have a bright future ahead of you." When my eldest brother Xuanwu reached the Hua Jin level, he was already 30 years old. To be honest, Lin Fan was not very clear about the strength levels of these martial arts people. It seemed that he had heard from his master that the three senior sisters were also martial artists. But the martial arts he practiced was special. The pure Yarngong was a method for cultivating immortals. So, strictly speaking, his realm should be the initial stage of foundation building. With your strength, you can definitely compete for the Chinese land ranking. Zhu Wu suddenly said. What is the earth ranking? Lin Fan obviously didn't know. Oh? Xiaolin, it seems that you don't know yet. There are 3 rankings in our Chinese martial arts. From low to high, they are the earth ranking, the heaven ranking, and the saint ranking. Zhu Wu went on to say, anyone who makes it onto this list is favored by the powerful in China. The masters on the earth list are scrambled by big families and powerful people to become their families' worshippers, with annual salaries ranging from hundreds of millions to billions. The masters on the heaven list are basically the kings of a region. In addition to being worshipped, the powerful people also have to look at their faces. As for the last holy list, even the head of state will be extremely respectful to those who can leave their names on it. It is not an exaggeration to say that they are equals, because this is not just the Chinese level, but the world level. When selecting the holy list, the World Martial Arts Federation needs to work with the martial arts federations of various countries to hold it together. It will be a grand event, and the heads of state of various countries will also go to watch it. However, each ranking is held at a different time. Although they are all held on September 1st every year, the Earth ranking is held every 4 years, the same frequency as the Olympics. The Heaven ranking is held even longer, up to 8 years. As for the last holy ranking, it is held every 20 years. His tilde 20 years. Lin Fan took a deep breath and asked, how long has it been since the last event? If it's relatively recent, I plan to sign up and give it a try. You mean the holy list? Zhu Wu was stunned and smiled bitterly. It was not that he looked down on Lin Fan, but the people on the holy list were not ordinary people who could make it. Those who were on the heavenly list were all top masters. Moreover, basically only the top 5 on the heavenly ranking are competing, and the others can basically be eliminated and do not even have the qualifications to participate. Yes, how long will it take to be held? Lin Fan was somewhat unyielding. Seeing that the other party was so concerned, Zhu Wu did not continue to attack him, and said directly, this year is the 9th year, and it will be held on September 1st next year. As for which country will hold it this time, it has not been decided yet. It is estimated that there will be news by the end of the year. Oh my god, it's really like the Olympics. In which country do you have to fight for it? Lin Fan was a little surprised. Of course. You may not know how much of an impact the emergence of a saint list expert has on the entire world situation. Let me tell you this. If a medium-sized country ranked 30th in comprehensive national strength has a saint list expert, it will be promoted to the top 5 within 3 years. Do you think it is important? Zhu Wu explained. Lin Fan. I don't know whether Zhu Wu's information is true or false. If it is true, it is a bit exaggerated. Can one person decide the fate of a country? I think Xiaolin, you can try to participate in the Earth ranking. The Earth ranking will be launched on September 1st this year. With your strength, if you work harder, you will have no problem getting on the Earth ranking. After all, your strength seems to be similar to Xuanwu's. Zhu Wu Dao. Of course, this is the strength that Lin Fan has shown to him at present, and Lin Fan did not show any fluctuations in internal strength, so Zhu Wu naturally could not see the whole picture. Therefore, they mistakenly believed that Lin Fan's strength was comparable to Xuanwu's. Oh? So, Xuanwu was once a master on the Earth ranking. Lin Fan heard something strange. Well, Xuanwu at his peak was in the top 5 of the Earth ranking and ranked first in Jiangnan province. Of course, that was number 1 on the Earth ranking, and he was not number 1 in Jiangnan province because there was another very powerful master who was on the heaven ranking. Zhu Wu told the truth. Oh, a master from the heavenly ranking. Who is he? He is so powerful. Lin Fan asked curiously. He also wanted to know what kind of people the masters on the heavenly ranking were. Chapter 22 Jiangnan's number 1 god of war, Zhang Shenqian. The Jiangnan military region's number 1 god of war, Zhang Shenqian. Zhu Wu went on to say, he is a legendary figure in Jiangnan province. At the age of 26, he ranked 5th on the heavenly ranking and became famous in one battle. After that, his position rose all the way to become the number 1 war god in Jiangnan, commanding hundreds of thousands of troops in Jiangnan. He once killed thousands of enemy troops by himself, and went straight into the enemy's territory in the middle of the army, killing the enemy leader. He is invincible in bravery. Fuck, it's so awesome. Lin Fan was a little surprised. It seemed quite awesome that he could defeat thousands of troops by himself. However, he had never tried it. Okay, let's not talk about this anymore. People like us will never be able to reach the top of the heavenly ranking in our lifetime. If we can enter the top 10 of the earthly ranking in our lifetime, we've already reached the top. Zhu Wu smiled bitterly. While they were talking, the car had already arrived at the Tang family's door. Lin Fan got out of the car and thanked Zhu Wu. Zhu Wu reminded him, find a time to go over and sign the contract tomorrow during the day. After all, the share transfer requires the person to come over and go through the process in order for it to be effective. Okay. Lin Fan nodded. When we returned to the villa, it was already 11:30 p.m. You still remember to come back. Tang Yinro was relieved when she saw Lin Fan coming back. If he didn't come back, she would have been helpless. Didn't I promise you this? Lin Fan said calmly, it's already early in the morning and you haven't slept yet. Do you want to wait for me to sleep with you? You wish. Tang Yinro rolled her eyes at Lin Fan and found an excuse, saying, you're next door, and the soundproofing of this house isn't very good. I'm a light sleeper, and I'm afraid you'll wake me up if I fall asleep. Hey, I have a set of techniques. Can I give you a massage? The effect is very good. I used it on my senior sister before, and she slept until dawn. Lin Fan smiled and said. Tang Yinro blushed when she heard the word massage. No matter where on the part to be massaged, with this guy's personality, he would never miss any opportunity to take advantage. You're trying to trick me again, aren't you? Last time you said massaging your penis can make it bigger, and now you're saying massaging can help you sleep better. How can there be such a magical method? Tang Yinro obviously didn't believe it. Lin Fan was stunned for a moment, then he realized that the girl was talking about massaging her front. You know what? I can make your vagina bigger. I can't say how big it will be, but it will definitely be bigger than D. If you're not careful, it might even reach E. With your figure, if it becomes 36E, you'll be unbeatable. After saying this, Lin Fan glanced at Tang Yinro again. At present, Tang Yinro only loses to Hu Lili in terms of size, but in terms of appearance and body proportions, she is better than Hu Lili. If she could make up for her previous shortcomings, she would be worthy of being the most beautiful woman in Jiangcheng. Seeing Lin Fan staring at her body, Tang Yinro's face turned even redder, but to be honest, what Lin Fan said just now was quite tempting to her. If I can really get to D or even E, with this figure and appearance, I will be invincible in the whole Jiangcheng, and I will definitely be the number 1 beauty. What if you lie to me? Tang Yinro was obviously moved. Lin Fan knew that Tang Yinro was beginning to be interested in his massage techniques. Although this girl had a rather cold personality, her looks and figure were still good, and it would be nice to be able to give her a try and satisfy your craving. If I lie to you, I don't want you to give me the 1 million. Lin Fan said. Tang Yinro originally planned to give the 1 million to Lin Fan tomorrow, but now after hearing this sentence, she felt it was quite credible. Well, you said so yourself. Tang Yinro agreed. Lin Fan followed Tang Yinro into the room. The decoration theme was pink, which was very feminine. There was also a faint fragrance in the room, which was very pleasant and made him a little intoxicated. Tang Yinro closed the door and locked it. What do you want to be treated for tonight? To get bigger, or to have a good sleep? Lin Fan got straight to the point. Tang Yinro blushed and said, if it gets bigger, should I massage that place? Not really, just the surrounding acupuncture points, but I'm sure I'll touch some of them. Lin Fan explained. Tang Yinro's face turned even redder, and she said, "Then, let's get some sleep tonight. As for the other one, I'm not ready yet." "What are you preparing for? You don't think I'll take advantage of you, do you?" Lin Fan continued, "I am a doctor. You are my patient now. In the eyes of doctors, there is no gender distinction. If you have such thoughts, it proves that you are not pure." Oh. Tang Yinro suddenly realized that this guy was really good at speaking and it would be a waste if he didn't do sales. "Then you promise not to do anything bad to me?" Tang Yinro stared into Lin Fan's eyes and said, "I have $1 million, am I still worried that there won't be girls taking advantage of me? Why would I take the risk and let you deduct my money?" Lin Fan asked back. Tang Yinro thought it made sense, so she lay down and said, "Then help me get some sleep first, and then do that." "Okay, stop wasting time and get on the bed." Lin Fan pointed at the light pink bed. Tang Yinro lay on top of her and put her head on her pillow. Lin Fan took off his shoes and climbed up as well, then straddled her waist with his legs. This posture is as ambiguous as it can be. Feeling Lin Fan sitting on her waist, Tang Yinro felt shy and asked hurriedly, "Lin Fan, why are you sitting on me? For the next set of massage, I will sit gently on your waist. This is also the key to massage. Can you stop talking nonsense and finish it quickly? I have to go to sleep." Lin Fan said impatiently. Oh. Tang Yinro felt like she was being manipulated, but she had no evidence, so she could only keep quiet. "Take off your shirt. You can't have a smooth massage with your clothes on," Lin Fan reminded. You still have to take off your clothes." Tang Yinro's face had turned red to her ears. "Look, I'll just say you're not pure. You always have so many dirty thoughts. Just think of me as a doctor and you as a patient. Don't think of anything else. Hurry up. I'm in a hurry," Lin Fan said. Tang Yinro had no choice. She suspected that Lin Fan wanted to take advantage of her, but she still had no evidence. Tang Yinro took off her top directly. But suddenly she felt her body getting cold, and then she realized that she was not wearing any underwear. Or maybe she was not used to wearing tight clothes when sleeping, as she would feel restrained. She didn't expect Lin Fan to come into her room tonight and give her a massage. Oh, how embarrassing. Tang Yinro hurriedly pressed her body onto the bed and placed her hands beside her to cover her exposed parts. Oh shit. Lin Fan obviously also noticed that even though Tang Yinro covered a lot of it with her hands, some of it was still exposed. Her snow-white skin, coupled with her special whiteness and tenderness, made Lin Fan couldn't help swallowing his saliva. You go out for a while." I forgot to put on my underwear." Tang Yinro really wanted to find a hole to crawl into now. It was so embarrassing. "I'll massage your shoulders and back, but not your front for now. It's okay if you don't wear it." Lin Fan smiled. Tang Yinro cursed in her heart, "Of course you can feast your eyes, okay? Remember, I'm the doctor and you're the patient. Don't have dirty thoughts, okay? Let's start. Don't move." Lin Fan didn't give Tang Yinro any chance. He went straight to her and grabbed her shoulder muscles. Then, a sour and refreshing feeling spread throughout her body. This guy usually looks rough, but he is so gentle when massaging. Chapter 23 Magical Massage Techniques. Lin Fan activated the pure Yang Gong, using the spiritual energy in his hands to input into every inch of muscle, activating Tang Yinro's blood and meridians. After pressing for less than 5 minutes, Tang Yinro felt extremely comfortable and even felt like falling asleep. However, the feeling of comfort soon became stronger and stronger, making her feel warm all over and a strange feeling in her lower abdomen. This feeling was indescribable and made her unable to help but clamp her legs together and tense her muscles. Sensing the girl's abnormality, Lin Fan showed an evil smile and continued to increase the input of spiritual energy. Tang Yinro felt the pressure getting stronger and stronger, to the point where she couldn't bear it anymore. Yer tilde. Suddenly, Tang Yinro couldn't help but blurt out and hum softly. This hum was full of temptation and very much like a certain sound. As soon as this voice came out, the temperature in the whole room suddenly rose. Tang Yinro's face also flushed, and she was extremely shy. Oh, how embarrassing. Tang Yinro covered her face, too embarrassed to see anyone. But the next moment, Lin Fan reminded him, "If you cover your face again, other parts of your body will be exposed." Tang Yinro was stunned, and immediately thought of something. She quickly stretched out her hands to cover both sides, and said in shame and anger, "Lin Fan, you did this on purpose, didn't you? Then you have wronged me. This is the subtlety of this massage method. Do you feel relaxed all over now? Have a good sleep," Lin Fan said. Tang Yinro closed her eyes and felt it. It was indeed true. She felt drowsy. "Yeah." She nodded. "Okay, let's stop here for tonight. As for the enlargement massage, I'll do it another day. I'm a little sleepy too." Only then did Lin Fan climb up from Tang Yinro's waist. For some reason, Tang Yinro felt a little reluctant, but she didn't dare to say anything. This guy knows so many things. Not only does he know the recipe for the beauty pill, one of the 7 wonders of ancient medicine, but his massage technique is also so unique. Over the past 2 years, she has been fed up with the company's affairs. She often suffers from insomnia at night and has not felt sleepy for a long time. She is about to collapse and looks much more haggard than she was 2 years ago. Now that sleepiness was coming, she felt a sense of comfort in her heart. "Thank you." Tang Yinro lowered her voice. "I thought Lin Fan didn't hear me, but I saw him say without turning his head, 'Go to sleep quickly. After this, you will have good dreams for the next 6 months.'" After saying that, Lin Fan walked out of the room and closed the door. Tang Yinro looked at Lin Fan, who left in such a graceful manner, and was a little dazed for a moment. This guy is really a treasure man. I have discovered so many good things about him in less than a day of knowing him. She couldn't help but wonder, had she found a treasure and was totally unaware of it? After Lin Fan returned to the room, he quickly washed up and lay down on the bed. Thinking of the holy list that Ju Wu mentioned, he suddenly felt that he had something to pursue in life again. Staying on Qianling Mountain for too long can really make people lose the desire to pursue. Before going down the mountain, he only thought about making good money in the future and then living a happy life. But now that he has come into contact with a higher level, Lin Fan's mood has changed. He wanted to have higher pursuits. If one day, I can be on equal footing with the ruler of China, it seems to be a very remarkable thing. By then, he will have no shortage of women around him, and he will also have a lot of wealth. He will not be bothered by trivial matters. He can then invite his 3 senior sisters over, and the family will live a good life. Perfect. Holy list, here I come. Lin Fan set his goal and closed his eyes. Around 10 o'clock the next morning, Lin Fan made an appointment with Ju Wu and went to the company together to sign an agreement, officially becoming a shareholder of Qianxian Group. "Xiao Lin, don't think that 3% is too little. Qianxian Group is one of the few 100 billion yuan groups in Jiangnan province. There are only 3 of them, so your 3% dividend is several hundred million yuan every year. You are already a leader among the younger generation in Jiangnan province," Ju Wu explained. Wow, not bad. Lin Fan did not expect that his entry into the market would be so smooth. Just 2 days after arriving, he already had hundreds of millions in deposits and shares worth hundreds of millions. Thinking of the huge sum of 300 yuan that the old man left him, he couldn't help but sigh. But to be honest, there has been no news from the old man since he left. I missed him very much after not seeing him for a few days. I don't know where my master has gone. I hope that when we meet again someday, he will look upon me with a higher regard. He was adopted by the old man, who was like his second parent. Although the old man was always strict with him and never praised him, he could feel the fatherly love. After finishing all this, Lin Fan was just about to find Wan Xiaowen to find out the source of the jade when his cell phone rang. He took it out and saw that it was Tang Yinro. "I guess it's the pretend mission again." Lin Fan answered the phone and asked, "Do you have a mission today? One of the herbs in the recipe you gave me has been maliciously bought out by someone else, and it's nowhere to be found. I wanted you to come and see if there's a replacement." Judging from Tang Yinro's tone, she seemed very anxious. After all, the company had started the project and procurement yesterday. This time, they were basically going all out and concentrating all available funds on this new product. There is no problem in purchasing other medicinal materials, but this one is the only one that is stuck. And it's not a question of whether it's expensive or not. The fact is that this medicine is only produced in abundance in Jiangnan province. Even if it is available in other places, the quantity is very small. Moreover, all the expenses added together can be described as expensive. The company is already short of funds, and if it really purchases from other places, it will definitely be a big obstacle to its long-term development. Okay, I'll go to the company, Lin Fan said. After hanging up the phone, Lin Fan was about to take a taxi when suddenly a black luxury car drove in front of him. The logo of the car was two overlapping RS. Lin Fan seemed to have seen it on the internet. It looked like a Rolls-Royce Phantom. After the car stopped, a long-legged beauty walked out immediately. She had a curvy figure, a slender waist, and was wearing a tight short dress that hugged her hips, which made her look very sexy. With her hair tied up, she looks refreshing and capable, and at first glance she looks like a capable woman. Boss, please get in the car. The woman stepped on her silver high heels, walked quickly to Lin Fan, and called out respectfully. Boss? Lin Fan was stunned, unable to react, and asked weakly, Beauty, you recognized the wrong person, didn't you? Har har, how could I be wrong? The beautiful woman smiled and introduced herself, call me Furong. I'm your exclusive driver. Uncle Ju arranged this for me. It's the rule of the Chen Shen group that every shareholder with more than 3% of the shares will be assigned a dedicated driver. If you are not satisfied with me, you can make a request for replacement and someone will replace me. Lin Fan understood, and after looking at Furong carefully, a satisfied smile appeared on his face. This girl has such a great figure and is very pretty. Having her pick me up personally in the future will not only be pleasing to the eye but will also make me happy. Besides, if you have any special requests, I will serve you. Fleur added. What do you mean by special request? For example? Lin Fan was stunned. Furong's pretty face turned red, and she was obviously a little shy. She adjusted her mood and replied, Boss, I can just solve your physiological needs and stuff like that, and you don't need to be responsible. Fuck. Lin Fan really didn't expect that after becoming a rich man, he would have so many good benefits. No wonder so many people in this world are trying their best to become rich and powerful. It turns out that women are the driving force. New. Lin Fan didn't hesitate. He got into the car and said, Furong, let's go to Tang Pharmaceuticals. Okay, boss. Furong nodded, got in the car immediately, started the Rolls-Royce Phantom, and sped towards her destination. Chapter 24 Tang's Pharmaceuticals Crisis Re-emerges. In the office of the president of Tang Pharmaceuticals, Tang Yinro paced back and forth again, obviously very anxious. An old man and a beautiful manager from the purchasing department were sitting next to each other, and the atmosphere in the room was very solemn. Manager Yang, is it true that other places have run out of Houchuinia core data? Tang Yinro confirmed again. Well, originally this medicinal herb is only suitable for growing in the area south of Jiangnan, but this area is almost monopolized by Jiang Feng Group, Jiang Group, and their accomplices. It is obvious that they are targeting our company, especially Jiang Feng Group. Almost half of the money worth in Jiangnan province is controlled by his channels. With just one word from him, he can cut off all channels of input. No one dares to do business with us. Yang Hui said truthfully. Damn it, it's the Jiang family causing trouble again. Tang Yinro was so angry that she gritted her teeth and her chest was heaving. At this moment, there was a knock on the door, and then Lin Fan's voice was heard. Come in. Tang Yang Judo. They can only wait and see if Lin Fan has found an alternative medicine. If so, they can purchase it secretly and will not be affected. Who is this? Yang Hui and Xiao Hongyu were obviously meeting Lin Fan for the first time and did not recognize him. Tang Yinro blushed and introduced, he is my husband, Lin Fan. His tilder. Xiao Hongyu took a deep breath and then became extremely excited. He had always wanted to meet Lin Fan, but he didn't expect it to happen so soon. Hello, great God. Xiao Hongyu said excitedly, I am the manager of the RD department of Tang's Pharmaceuticals, Xiao Hongyu, you can just call me Mr. Xiao. Great God. Lin Fan was stunned. Tang Yinro at the side quickly explained, Lin Fan, it's like this. Your pill formula was discovered by Elder Xiao that day. He knew that this was one of the 7 wonders, the beauty pill, and thought you were very good at it, so he called you a great god. Oh, that's not necessary. I just got this recipe by chance. I'm not some great god. Just call me Xiaolin. Lin Fan is not stupid. Being targeted by others is not a good thing. It is not that he is afraid of trouble, but he does not want to cause too much trouble. Dealing with enemies is a very tiring thing. So I got it by chance, but it's also a result of luck and skill. Xiao Hongyu was a little disappointed. He had been wondering if Lin Fan had any other prescriptions for the 7 wonders of the ancient world, but now it seemed that this was the only one. Har har, that seems to be true. Lin Fan didn't dwell on this question, but looked at Tang Yinro and said, "Wife, which herb were you talking about?" Desmodium truncatum. Tang Yinro went straight to the point. When Lin Fan heard the name of this medicine, he frowned. There are few alternatives to this medicine, and they are expensive. After all, this is the most obvious herbal medicine for diuresis and detoxification, and it is mainly cheap. If it is replaced with other herbs, the effect of this pill recipe will be greatly reduced, and the cost will be several times higher. What's wrong? When Tang Yinro saw Lin Fan's eyes, she felt something was not right and immediately became nervous. Lin Fan asked, "Has this medicine been blocked?" "Yes, it's the Jiang family's doing. It seems that Jiang Feng is going to make things difficult for our Tang family," Tang Yinro said truthfully. Lin Fan frowned again. Last night, Jiang Guai was very respectful to Ju Wu, but he didn't expect that he would turn around and set his sights on the Tang family. In fact, he was targeting him, Lin Fan. Because in the eyes of the Tang family, he and the Tang family are one, and since he cannot take revenge openly, he attacks the Tang family secretly. This matter was also caused by him. In addition to wanting to make money, Lin Fan is also a very conscientious person, so he must intervene in this matter. Don't change the medicine yet. If it doesn't work, consider changing it later. Lin Fan paused, then continued, "Give me 3 days, I will try to solve it." Tang Yinro couldn't make up her mind. It's not that she doesn't believe Lin Fan, but this matter is of great importance. Tang Pharmaceuticals is gamble everything on it. If it loses, it will be completely defeated and declare bankruptcy. She looked at Mr. Xiao and Yang Hui. Old Xiao still admired Lin Fan. He did not think that he was lucky to get the 7 wonders of the ancient recipe, but that Lin Fan was really capable. Moreover, Lin Fan did not give him much time, only 3 days, so he said, "If it is 3 days, I think there will be no problem." Yang Hui also nodded. She had not recommended the change in the first place, because besides the complicated procedures, the cost was also extremely high. Good. Tang Yinro agreed. After Mr. Xiao and manager Yarn left, Lin Fan closed the door and locked it. Seeing this, Tang Yinro immediately became nervous, blushed slightly, and said, why did you close the door? Did you sleep well last night?" Lin Fan did not answer, but asked back. It's okay. Tang Yinro replied. "It's not just okay, it's absolutely amazing." She slept until dawn. If the alarm clock hadn't rang twice, she wouldn't have woken up. Her sleep quality is amazing. Moreover, after waking up from this sleep, she felt full of energy, and all her previous troubles disappeared. "Then you should be able to trust me, right?" Lin Fan took a few steps forward and came in front of Tang Yinro, smiling and said, "Come, the second thing I promised you last night, I will give you a massage. The effect of enlarging is also very obvious." Press here." Tang Yinro's face was as red as blood and she was extremely shy. "Yeah, isn't it? Close the door and draw the curtains. I think this is a good place. I just want to ask you if you want to make it bigger." Lin Fan asked. Tang Yinro lowered her head. To be honest, it was the first time she was teased like this by a man. Where was her previous cool and domineering attitude? "I want to, but can we do it at night? I feel embarrassed to do it here." Tang Yinro blushed to her ears. She secretly glanced at Lin Fan. This guy didn't blush at all and looked very serious. She really couldn't figure him out. Isn't he a little bit shy? Or isn't there any excitement at all? However, Lin Fan's heart was in turmoil at the moment. He originally wanted to fool the girl and take advantage of her. After all, he had not been able to truly feel the softness of a woman since he came down the mountain. "I didn't expect this girl to be so vigilant. It seems that I won't succeed for the time being." "Well, it seems that your thoughts are not pure enough. I treat you as a doctor, but you think I am taking advantage of you," Lin Fan said deliberately. "Oh." Tang Yinro smiled awkwardly. Was she really overthinking? "Okay, it's night time now. If you keep doing this at night, don't ask me to help you press it next time. I'm going to do my business first." Lin Fan said, and walked towards the office door. Lin Fan, what are you going to do? It seems like you just arrived in Jiangcheng and you are unfamiliar with the place. Do you need my help? Tang Yang judo. She was also a little confused. This guy had just arrived in Jiangcheng and was busy looking for a job yesterday. Today, something happened at the company and he wanted to help solve it. Can he really solve it? If it can be solved, what is this guy's identity? Why does she have a feeling that Lin Fan is a local and she is the one who just came from outside? Nonsense. Lin Fan smiled evilly, opened the door and walked out. Oh. Tang Yinro was speechless. After Lin Fan walked out of the company, he got into the car. Where is the boss going? The beautiful female driver, Furong, asked softly. Go find Ju Wu. Lin Fan thought about it. Since the Tang family is so afraid of Ju Wu, wouldn't it be best to let him step forward to settle it? Boss, do you want Uncle Ju to solve the problem of Tang's pharmaceuticals? Fleur asked back. Lin Fan didn't expect that a driver would know so many things, so he asked, you know everything. Chapter 25 Hibiscus. Har har, boss, you underestimate me, don't you? I'm not just a driver. I can get the information of Jiangcheng firsthand. To be exact, everything is under the control of Tang Shen Group. I am just responsible for helping you receive the information. Fleur explained. I didn't expect Tang Shen to be so powerful. Lin Fan was a little surprised. He pondered for a moment and said, in your opinion, do you think it is appropriate to find Ju Wu? It's not appropriate. Tang Shen Group has relatively little control over the pharmaceutical industry. This incident was mainly caused by the two pharmaceutical giants, Jiang Group and Jiang Feng Group, jointly suppressing Tang Pharmaceuticals. As long as you can convince Jiang Feng Group, Jiang Group alone will not be able to suppress Tang Pharmaceuticals. Furong offered a suggestion. But I also have a grudge against Peak Group. Lin Fan smiled awkwardly. The last time he went to Jiang Feng Group, he made a big scene and scolded the project manager Bao Yang. Jiang Feng Group is just a subsidiary of Shueyue Villar's industrial chain. If you know Shueyue Villar, you can also start from there. Fleur reminded. Snow Moon Villar. When he heard the name, Lin Fan immediately thought of Hu Lily. He snapped his fingers and said, Furong, let's go to Shueyue Villar. Oh? Do you really know him? Now it was Furong's turn to be surprised. According to the information she had obtained, Lin Fan had just entered Jiangcheng for a few days and should not have any power here. Chun Chun was just a rookie. But I didn't expect that he knew Shueyue Villar. I actually know one, and it seems that he holds a fairly high position. Lin Fan said. Furong nodded, turned around and ran towards the north of the city. Half an hour later, the car stopped at the gate of Shueyue Villar. Who? There were 4 guards standing at the door, all holding electric batons. They were tall and strong, with sharp eyes, staring at the Rolls-Royce Phantom in front of them. Although this is a luxury car, people who come here every day basically come in luxury cars, so even if it is a Rolls-Royce Phantom, the guards cannot take it for granted that they can come here. Lin Fan poked his head out and said calmly, my name is Lin Fan, looking for Hu Lily. When the guards heard the name, they all frowned, because that was the owner's best friend and also the third most important person in Shueyue Villar. This person looks very young. Who is he? How dare he meet the third in command? Do you have an appointment? Guard Road. Generally speaking, if you want to meet the 4 heads of the Villar, you basically need to make an appointment. No. Lin Fan said. Do you have her phone number? The guard asked again. No. Lin Fan said. At this point, even Furong felt a little embarrassed and reminded him softly, boss, it seems difficult to get in like this. It's not difficult. Lin Fan was very confident. He. The 4 guards laughed. It was the first time they had seen such a person. The leader spoke up and said, although your car is a luxury car, you don't have a reservation and a phone number. I'm sorry I can't let you in. Sister Fox told me to just give my name and you just need to inform me and don't waste any more words. Lin Fan said domineeringly. Sister Fox. Hearing this name, it seems that only people who are close to Hu Lily dare to call her like that. Could she be a relative? But relatives should have phone numbers, right? Captain, I think this guy is not simple. If he was driving a junkie car, I would ignore him, but this is a Rolls-Royce Phantom. I think we should report it to avoid any misunderstandings. A guard whispered to the captain. The captain hesitated for a moment, but finally came to the security booth and made a phone call. After a while, the captain trotted to the front of the car and said with a respectful smile, "I'm sorry, Mr. Lin, I didn't recognize you. Please come in. Open the door." Lin Fan didn't care and directly signaled Furong to drive in. Furong was also a little surprised at this time. She didn't expect that this boss was so powerful that he even knew Hu Lili, the third in command of Shueyue Villa. And judging from the security guard's attitude, it should be more than just an acquaintance, and they seemed to have a pretty good relationship. "Boss, awesome." Fleur gave a thumbs up. Lin Fan smiled but said nothing. In fact, he didn't know what position Sister Fox held in Shueyue Villa. He didn't know whether Sister Fox could help him this time. "Furong, after you send me in, you can go back first. Come back when I need you," Lin Fan said. Thinking back to the time when Hu Lili had always teased him, he didn't think that this girl could easily help her this time, so there must be some price to pay. "New." Fleur nodded. Led by a security guard, they came directly to the door of Hu Lili's villa. This was Duli's villa, which was larger than the Tang family's yard and looked very luxurious. I didn't expect Sister Fox's house to be quite big. After Lin Fan got off the car, he looked at the villa compound in front of him and was a little surprised. Before, he just thought that Hu Lili's family should be rich, but now it is not as simple as just being rich. Those who can own an independent large villa in Shueyue Villa should be the senior executives of Shueyue Villa. "Then boss, I'm leaving first," Furong said. Lin Fan nodded, then walked to the front of the villa and pressed the doorbell. The doorbell rang twice and the door was opened. The person who opened the door was none other than Hu Lili, which meant that Hu Lili had been standing at the door waiting for a long time. "Brother Fan, long time no see." After Hu Lili said this, she opened her arms and was about to pounce on him. Lin Fan quickly dodged. "It's been a long time indeed. It's been a whole night. 10 hours, 36,000 seconds. Lin Fan smiled bitterly. He, as the saying goes, a day without seeing you feels like 3 autumns. Well, we have only been apart for half a day, so that means we have been apart for 15 autumns. After Hu Lili flirted with Lin Fan, she immediately pursed her lips and said angrily, "Look, I miss you so much and want to give you a hug to express my longing, but you avoid me." "What do you mean?" "Sister Fox, you misunderstood. You are so beautiful. I am afraid that if you hold me in your arms, I will not be able to control myself and do something. That is not good." Lin Fan found an excuse. Tang Yinro was cute and adorable, and he wanted to take advantage of her, but Hu Lili was smarter than a vixen. He took advantage of her, but he couldn't escape from her clutches. Therefore, Lin Fan was somewhat afraid of taking advantage of Hu Lili. "We are all young people, and Sister Fox doesn't care if you get married. If you can't help it, just let it go. There's nothing to worry about. I don't want you to be responsible." Hu Lili smiled wickedly. Ahem. Lin Fan didn't expect that this girl would be so open-minded and dare to say anything. To be honest, if it were another man, he would have been unable to control himself a long time ago. "All right, you don't come to me for no reason, and it's broad daylight. I don't believe you would take the initiative to ask me out. Tell me the truth, what do you want from me?" Hu Lili suddenly became serious. Lin Fan was a little surprised. This girl's ability to switch expressions so easily made him feel inferior. So, Lin Fan also became serious and said, "To be honest, I came here this time to ask Sister Fox if she could do me a favor." "What's the matter?" Hu Lili said as she walked into their hall. Lin Fan hurriedly followed and said, "I heard that Jiangcheng Peak Group is a subsidiary of Shueyue Villa." Chapter 26. A woman who values love over friendship. "That's about right. Why, do you want to invest?" Hu Lili asked back. "That's not the case. I want Jiang Feng Group to lift the blockade on Tang's Pharmaceuticals' purchase of medicinal materials. You know, I'm the son-in-law of the Tang family. Brother Fan, we are just friends at the bar, so let's not talk about business, okay? Aren't you trying to embarrass your sister?" Hu Lili interrupted him directly. "My best friend Feng Shueyue said that she can play however she wants, but she must not link her playmates with business, and this is her bottom line. So Sister Fox is unwilling to help? Lin Fan asked. Seeing Lin Fan's serious expression, Hu Lili took a deep breath. After a moment of silence, she came to the sofa and suddenly turned around and said with a smile, "Sit down first. I'll make you a cup of tea. You just came from. No need. Just say the word and I'll leave immediately." Lin Fan said. Angry. Hu Lili didn't expect that Lin Fan had such a stubborn temper and he would get angry after just a few words. No. Lin Fan actually told the truth. He and Hu Lili were just casual acquaintances. Last night, Hu Lili tried to save him many times, which touched him. That's why he wanted to make friends with this person, but since Hu Lili felt embarrassed, he didn't want to make things difficult for her. "Well, I'll think of a solution for you, but you can't do this to me. Come over here and have tea with your sister." Hu Lili regained her previous charm and patted the sofa next to her, motioning Lin Fan to sit over there. Lin Fan didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Facing such a beautiful woman, he really couldn't get angry. Hu Lili poured Lin Fan a cup of high-quality pu'er tea, then smiled and said, "Actually, it's not that I can't help you, but I promised my bestie not to bring other people's affairs into business, but there is a special situation." "What's going on?" Lin Fan was stunned and asked curiously. "If you help your own man, then you are not considered anyone else, you are considered your own man." Hu Lili smiled evilly and deliberately reminded him, "What a pity, someone is only thinking about his wife, so he has no intention of being my man. So, it's difficult." Lin Fan. Lin Fan couldn't help but sigh, "The city is full of tricks, I want to go back to the mountains." Actually. Sister Fox, I'll tell you a secret. In order to complete the task and convince Hu Lili, he could only tell Hu Lili about his fake marriage with Tang Yinro. He felt that Hu Lili would not betray him. Secrets. Tell me about them. I love hearing men's secrets the most. Hu Lili looked expectant. My marriage with Tang Yinro is fake. We will divorce in half a year. There is no love between us. We are just playing our own games. Lin Fan continued, I have only told you about this. I hope you will keep it a secret for me. I want to tell you that I don't have any woman in my heart. What about now? Do you have it? Hu Lili raised her eyebrows and hinted. Ahem. Lin Fan felt that he was being manipulated by this girl, but it seemed that saying such things was not against the law. Who cares? Everything was for the mission anyway. It wasn't like he was going to marry Hu Lili, so there was nothing to worry about. So he smiled and said, of course. I just like Xiefan's character, he's straightforward. Hu Lili changed the subject and said, actually. I also have a secret. Do you want to hear it? Tell me about it. Lin Fan said casually. I'm in love with you. Hu Lili had a smile on her face. Lin Fan was stunned. This is not a joke. It's okay to be a little ambiguous, or even to say that you like me. But what I fear most is when a woman says she loves me. This is quite scary. Seeing that Lin Fan was slow to speak and his face turned pale, Hu Lili couldn't help it and burst out laughing. Har har har, silly brother, you are so cute. Sister is just teasing you. You are dreaming. You may not know who I am. If you want me to fall in love with you, you must have the ability. At least you will have a net worth of 10 billion in the future and be a big shot in Jiangcheng. Hu Lili smiled. Oh. Lin Fan breathed a sigh of relief, rolled his eyes at Hu Lili, and said, Sister Fox, can you please stop scaring me like this in the future? I'm a coward. TSK, you are still a coward. You secretly stared at my chest for the 800th time last night. If that hadn't happened last night, would you have slept with your sister awake? Hu Lili exposed it. Nothing. Lin Fan denied. But to be honest, if Hu Lili had taken the initiative to seduce him, something like what happened last night would really have happened. After he practiced Chun Yarn Gong, he became particularly unable to resist temptation and his patience decreased a lot. Okay, I won't tease you anymore. Any business decisions related to our villa need to be approved by the owner, so I can only help you mention it. As for whether she is willing to see you, I can't do anything about it. Hu Lili said truthfully. Hearing this, Lin Fan sighed, but knowing that Hu Lili had done her best, he said, okay, thank you Sister Fox for introducing me. Well, she's my best friend, so she will definitely meet me if I introduce her to you, but it depends on how you convince her. Hu Lili reminded, but you have to remember, when you see her, be gentle in your tone, and don't look where you shouldn't. She's not like me. She hates men who look lecherous. Don't talk nonsense, either. I'm afraid you'll be kicked out as soon as you enter. Oh, I know. Lin Fan agreed. Okay, then you wait here for a while, I'll be back soon. After Hu Lili finished speaking, she walked out of the hall and headed outside. A few minutes later, in another villa. This villa is more luxurious than Hu Lili's. To be exact, it is the most luxurious villa in the entire Shueyue villa. This is the residence of the owner of the manor, Feng Shueyue. There are 3 people in Feng Shueyue's residence, 2 maids and Feng Shueyue. The house is very clean and spotless. It can be seen that Feng Shueyue has misophobia. Shueyue, just give him a chance. Just consider it as a favor to me. As for whether he can convince you or not, I don't care. Hu Lili pleaded. Feng Shueyue was a little surprised to see her best friend begging her in such a humble manner. She frowned slightly and said, Lili, are you in love with that guy? Who is he? He is so amazing that he made you fall in love with him at first sight. It seems that there is no such man in the whole Jiangcheng, right? Maybe there is. Hu Lili also tried her best to help Lin Fan. Originally, Feng Shueyue hated discussing business matters with her bestie, but seeing how persistent this girl was, she sighed and said, okay, I'll give him this chance, but I've made it clear that if there's no very good reason, I won't agree. By the way, I also want to see what kind of man you are so interested in. Feng Shueyue was also full of curiosity at this time. Looking at the entire Jiangcheng, who else can gain such favor from this top business elite? Hey, okay, I'll go inform him right away, bye. After saying that, Hu Lili rushed out of the room and left. Feng Shueyue was speechless and could only mutter, a woman who values love over friendship. Chapter 27 Senior Sister. Soon, a subordinate reported that Hu Lili entered the villa with a man. At this moment, Feng Shueyue was inexplicably a little nervous, as if she were Hu Lili's parents and had to take charge of Hu Lili's major life events. Outside, Hu Lili said to Lin Fan, remember the points I said, and then go in by yourself. I won't show up, lest Feng Shueyue sees me and affects her decision. Okay, thanks. Lin Fan nodded and walked in by himself. This villa is more luxurious than he had imagined. It is not an exaggeration to describe it as magnificent and golden. The villa has a total of 4.5 floors. The hall is a connection between 2 floors. It is 10 meters high and extremely spacious. The decoration in the hall is even more luxurious to the point of being a bit too much. Any single decoration is estimated to be worth hundreds of thousands. Seeing Lin Fan coming in, the 2 maids left the hall. At this time, Feng Shueyue and Lin Fan were the only 2 people left in the hall, and Feng Shueyue was sitting on the sofa with her back to Lin Fan. Lin Fan looked at Feng Shueyue's back. Her long black hair was probably down to her waist. Even with his back to him, one could tell he had a nice figure, and he sat with an upright posture and an extraordinary temperament. Hello, Master Feng, I am Lin Fan. After Lin Fan walked over, he was a little nervous and introduced himself hurriedly. As soon as this voice came out, Feng Shueyue frowned immediately. She raised her head suddenly and looked at Lin Fan. This familiar look stunned her instantly. Lin Fan also raised his head and looked at Feng Shueyue, and they both shouted almost at the same time. Big sister. Junior brother. Big sister, is it really you? I have been looking for you for a long time. At this moment, Lin Fan suddenly walked up with a sense of grievance, and Feng Shueyue did not hesitate at all. She stood up directly, opened her arms, and hugged Lin Fan in her arms. Junior brother, when did you leave the mountain? Where is master? Why didn't he inform me? Feng Shueyue asked. Don't talk about that old guy. I get angry when I talk about him. Lin Fan said angrily. Oh? What's going on? Isn't master very kind to you? In Feng Shueyue's impression, apart from being a little strict with his junior brother, the master actually left all the good things to him, and several senior sisters saw it. Very good. The technique I practiced was the most difficult, and I accumulated a body of fire poison. Now I have to take medicine every 2 or 3 days to suppress it. Before I went down the mountain, the old man sneaked away and said he left a huge sum of money for me. Guess how much he actually left? Lin Fan looked at Feng Shuiyue with a face full of grievance. 300 million. Feng Shuiyue guessed. In her impression, the master seemed to have accumulated a lot of wealth when he was young, especially the tasks he did, which basically started at tens of millions. Therefore, it was only natural for him to leave 300 million to his most beloved disciple. $300. Har har. Feng Shuiyue burst out laughing and said, "It turns out to be the master I know. He is really stingy." Oh. So, you said he loved me, maybe you were wrong. Lin Fan rolled his eyes at Feng Shuiyue. It's okay. Master doesn't love you, but senior sister will. You just came down the mountain, so you probably don't have a place to live yet. Come and live with senior sister. There are plenty of rooms in my villa. Feng Shuiyue pulled Lin Fan to sit on the sofa and continued, "Junior brother, oh no, I should call you Lin Fan, you are quite amazing. You just came down the mountain and you made my best friend Hu Lili crazy. Have you too done that?" Huh? What's that? Lin Fan was stunned. He didn't understand what the senior sister said. Keep pretending. When we were on the mountain, you tormented the three of us sisters. You either peeped at us bathing or sneaked into our beds to touch us. We have been down the mountain for 7 years and there has been no girl to accompany you. How could you bear it on the mountain? Feng Shuiyue reminded. Big sister, I am very pure, okay? The reason I peeked at you is entirely because I practiced the pure Yang Kung. Actually, I didn't mean it that way. TSK, you're looking for excuses again, right? Feng Shuiyue rolled her eyes at Lin Fan and then said, however, your pure Yang Kung is indeed a bit weird. Our master didn't let us learn it because he was afraid of its side effects. He said that only people with the strongest and most Yang bodies can practice it. So, you must have the strongest and most Yang body, otherwise, you would still be alive and well now. Take medicine every other day to suppress it. What a bullshit strong and Yang body. Lin Fan didn't want to talk more about this matter, so he went straight back to the point. By the way, senior sister, I came here this time because I want you to take action and ask Peak Group to lift the blockade on Tang Pharmaceuticals' purchase of medicinal materials. Is that okay? You have to do this yourself. Wind, snow and moon. Me. What should I do, senior sister? You won't even help me, will you? People become distant once they are separated from us, and they won't recognize their relatives anymore. Ahem, what nonsense are you talking about? Hearing this, Feng Shuiyue was choked and smiled bitterly. What I mean is that Peak Group will be handed over to you in the future. You are the boss and you have the final say. Why should I do anything? Fuck. Lin Fan didn't expect that the senior sister would be so generous. She just gave such a big company as Peak Group to him. Okay, it's settled. I'll get it done later, and you can go and take up your post tomorrow morning. Wind, snow and moon. I'm so touched. Come, give me a hug. Lin Fan threw himself into Feng Shuiyue's arms, burying himself in those soft hands. Feeling that this guy was deliberately dawdling, Feng Shuiyue hurriedly reminded him, "You want to take advantage of me again, right? We often do this when we are in the mountains." Lin Fan grinned. Can it be the same? When I did that to you, I was only 16, okay? I didn't know anything at the time, and you took advantage of me. Now I'm 30, okay? Feng Shuiyue gave Lin Fan a cold look. Outside. Hu Lili waited for a while and became more and more nervous. She was very worried that Lin Fan would offend her best friend, so after hesitating for a moment, she still went in. As soon as I entered the hall, I saw Lin Fan buried his head in Feng Shuiyue's arms. Oh my god. What is going on? Is Lin Fan so charming? He had even won over his girlfriend within 3 minutes of coming in, and now she's throwing herself into his arms. Ahem. Hu Lili deliberately cleared her throat to remind the two. When Feng Shuiyue heard the voice, she quickly pushed Lin Fan away and said softly, "It's all your fault. My best friend must have misunderstood you." At this time, Hu Lili strode over, looked at the two of them, and asked in surprise, "You two, are you guys doing this?" Ahem, Fox, don't get me wrong, he and I. Don't explain, I saw it all. Hu Lili pursed her lips, obviously jealous. Although the other party is the owner of the manor, she has already made it clear that Lin Fan is the man she likes. Now Feng Shuiyue is trying to snatch her man away, which is not very fair. Master sister, don't explain. Lin Fan smiled. Okay, Lin Fan, you actually protected her, Eh? Wait. Hu Lili obviously thought of something. She looked at Feng Shuiyue and said, Are you Lin Fan's senior sister? Feng Shuiyue nodded and said, I told you before that I have 2 junior sisters and 1 junior brother, but I don't know his real name. It turns out his name is Lin Fan. Oh my god, this is fate, senior sister. Hu Lili hurried over and said with a smile, What a misunderstanding, I thought you too. Humph, it seems that the relationship between us is just a fake sisterhood. A man can make you turn against him. Feng Shuiyue gave Hu Lili a cold look.